Hi, everybody. Nice to see you all in the chat room. Just sorting out a small technical problem. And who've we got tonight? Oh, Colonel Jeff, hi. Mike Kuipers, great to see you again. Tim, hello Tim from the West Coast. Ken, very good, sir, very good. Kelly Kirk, Neil Landwan, hi Neil. Ludger, hi Ludger. Vetland 11. We always wonder where the other 10 Vetlanders are, but there you go. Hi Vetland 11. That's it so far. So just hunting a cable. Dale, good evening.
Yep, couldn't find it. Don't have it.
Bother.
It is a bummer.
Oh, I said bother.
Oh, whatever. Hello, Andy and Chad and Gail. I got my
chat room in the air.
All the comments up here and on a big screen TV. And you get to see my neck when I do this.
Oh, it's wrinkle-free when you do that.
Yeah, I know. I like this. I just do the whole show like this.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
Okay, back down here.
Thanks, Jeff. That will be the location behind me in that picture frame of the UK meetup we're going to have in September. It wasn't so calming when I was learning to fly there, but one of the students on my course managed to wheelbarrow his Cessna 150 and turned the fixed undercarriage nose wheel into a folding undercarriage nose wheel, a retracting nose wheel, which we all thought was very amusing.
And Steph is planning to join us. She's driving home. I don't know if you mentioned that or not.
No, not yet. Driving home for Christmas. Yes, Jeffrey. It's probably a lot calmer there now. I used to work there. It was my first flying job. Well, it wasn't really a flying job. It was a toilet cleaning and airplane washing job.
That sounds like fun.
Well, it was in aviation, wasn't it? So, yeah, it was actually. My first job in aviation. Hi, Nick. And that's Stephanie Plummer. Christmas. I hope that's not 100 degrees centigrade.
Would you tell Steph to get out of the chat room and get on the
that's right.
on the StreamYard?
Yeah.
Quit fooling around.
No, the flying school didn't have any airplanes big enough to have a toilet. Unless, of course, one of the student pilots had an accident.
Hello. Just checking mic levels compared to Nick's.
So here's my mic level. Peter Piper, Pit Pecker, Pickle Pepper.
And here's my mic level. She sells seashells by the seashore.
Very good.
Hear all
very good.
of my sibilants, which I have a lot of. Thank you, Aviator Tony and Squawk Ident Podcast, which is the same thing, right? He says my stash is almost back to its former glory. Yeah, it's getting there. Not quite.
It's almost like you're gazing up towards heaven when you read those chants.
I'm hearing these angelic, this
Yes, I've got a message from
angelic
above.
voice. How much wood could a woodchuck chuck if a woodchuck could chuck wood? Thank you,
That's
Kelly.
very American.
All right. Or I guess I could just look right over here. Yeah, that's probably easier. I think I did, Liz. Is somebody having issues? Tried to join YouTube. Henri. Okay.
I don't know it. Oh, and I hate to overtask you, but did you reposition that video clip after
Yes.
I messed with it?
Yep,
Oh, you
I did.
Good. Okay.
I got it. So, let me see what Liz is trying to tell me.
Henry says it's not showing.
Oh, okay. Yes, I just checked. Website is up to date. So, somebody's having trouble.
Henry.
Henri?
Lanouette.
Okay, let me see if I can get the actual direct link.
Henri Lanouette.
Okay, if I go up here to this thing.
I don't know the rest.
It says I'm live. View on YouTube. Okay, watch out. We're going to hear
Stephanie's excuses.
Okay. And here we go. I think that's the actual link to the YouTube. Let us know if you're still having troubles with that, Henri or Henry. Oh, I see. Yeah, you can't just go to the YouTube channel, Henry, and see it there because, as Dale just mentioned, we post it as unlisted when we record the show because that keeps the trolls away.
Yeah, house elves are okay, but no trolls.
The trolls, they eat way too much. Oh, I need to get my hat.
My hat?
Like that?
Perfect. Looks very casual.
Like I just walk into the room and just fling it onto the bed.
Exactly right. Casually. You just do a 007. Fling your bowler hat onto the bed. Or the hat stand.
I'm getting out of camera view and taking my pants off. Just kidding. I'm not really doing that.
Well, I'm not sure why you'd want to anyway. Is it very warm in your room?
Ah.
Hi, Colin. From Down Under. G'day, mate. Ah, Pip's a troll. A lemon-flavoured troll. Enjoyed the last show, Pip. Thanks for playing the feedback.
I took my earbuds out, so I have no idea what you were saying.
I should well stop being rude about you then.
Okay. Yes, please stop being so rude about. Oh wait. Ah, shoot. Now I need my glasses.
Yes, I'm not sure what's happening with the reflection on my glasses. But
Not sure what's happening with what?
the reflection on my glasses, but let's not forget this is a podcast.
Yeah, I
This
know.
is an audio podcast. I'm wearing Google Glass in case you're interested.
Are you?
No. But it's an excuse for whatever's flashing in my
I
corner
do not
of my...
like the way my video looks.
Well, you could... Can you eyeglass it out or something like that?
No, I'm using webcam settings as my...
Okay. Pliny 82, g'day, sir. And,
so would I increase or decrease contrast?
I would decrease it if you want to get rid of shiniest. But I suspect you...
Wow, every time I put in an auto white balance, it just makes everything blue.
Yeah, not good. I suspect it's more to do with the angle of the illumination than anything else. So I suspect it's that telly above you.
That's probably it.
So you might just, if you just turn the brightness down on that a bit, it might... Oh, well, it's just a thought, that's all.
That's a
Put a hat
good
on.
idea. Just have to figure out how to do that with my remote.
Oh, at least it's not in Chinese. Or Japanese, that was even worse. Used to get only about 1 or 2 English channels in our Japanese hotels. And they were like CNN and another BBC World or something. But you could sometimes get programs and they would have an English voice channel. But working out which button on the hand controller switched it on was just impossible because the hand controllers were entirely in Japanese. So it was, you just had to learn many years of pressing buttons, seeing what happens.
To see what would happen if I do this.
Exactly.
Yeah, well, I can't figure it out. You want me to turn the whole thing off?
No. It's fine. You look good.
I don't know. Well, thank you for saying so. I know you're lying.
You look fine.
It's fine.
Tell him,
Everything
Liz.
is fine.
Tell him, Liz. Tell him he looks okay.
Yeah, unfortunately, I can't hear. Acknowledge Colin's retirement. Oh, well, so I'm not. Okay, hang on. I'm sorry. I'm not paying attention to the chat. Oh. So Colin is retiring. Hopefully I'll get to spend more time, my time, on line live with you. Just finished my last shift. Wow.
Oh, well done, sir.
49 years to the day. Wow. 49 years?
Boy.
They let you work that long? Now, are you, Colin, you're over in the UK?
Is that right? Colin's in Australia.
Australia. So they let, They let you guys work. I think the retirement age here in the U.S. is 56, if I'm not mistaken. Is this thing on?
Don't know. It's making lots of noise when you rattle it.
Hello. Huh. It just sounds like. Am I echoing at all?
No.
Okay. Okay, so here we go. Here's for Colin.
Whee!
Yay. Congratulations, sir. That's awesome.
Yeah, that is a good effort. Well done.
Yeah, 56. So 49 years. So he probably started when he was 7 years old. They start him young in Australia. Everything's screwed up on this video.
I think they're allowed to go, as Colin says, so long as they remain sane.
Oh.
As long as they like, probably.
Well, how is it that he got to stay so long?
Yeah, after all. Listening to this show is one of the prime pointers, indicators.
They're going, I don't know about this guy. He watches this.
Yeah. It must be his dirty little secret.
Oh, maybe that's the problem here. Let me lower that gain. Ooh, Okay. Sorry, yeah, Liz, I'm sorry that you're not able to talk to me.
That
as
looks
well.
a little better.
Yeah, I went to manual exposure instead of auto exposure. Let me bring up the exposure time. Oh, wow, that's way too much. That's way too little. Tell me when I get close. That better?
Yeah, I wouldn't go much more, or you'll be back where you started. You might
Okay.
just want to put the contrast back in there now because
Okay.
you seem a bit soft.
Okay. Ooh, that's never a good thing.
No. That's what she
How about
said.
now?
Yeah, looks good.
That okay?
Yeah.
Okay, Jeffrey Galloway, friends leaving the regional airlines in the U.S. has suggested that I should meet him at the airport of his last flight as a regional pilot with a squirt gun instead of a water cannon salute.
Very good. Yeah.
Hey, I'll be very happy if I get a squirt gun salute when I retire.
What's the worst thing you've ever found on a pre-flight walk around? A condom in the cargo hold.
That would be the worst thing. Can't think of anything worse. Oh, man. Okay, now we're back to the blue cast. Okay. All right.
That's
Well,
looking all right. You can increase the exposure a little bit now.
Increase exposure.
Not making any difference.
I'm like
That's
clicking
all right.
away and nothing's happening.
Don't worry about it. It's fine.
Let me try. Oh,
Whoa!
my goodness. Well, that
Go
made a
back to
big
where you
difference.
were.
Okay. I'm just going to leave it there. What do you think?
Good idea. You got nice blue eyes. That's good.
Okay. That's the important.
Liz is giving you a double thumbs up.
Excellent. How do you know that? Where is she giving me a double thumbs up?
I was watching her picture. There.
Oh, I see.
Thumbnail.
I don't. My screen isn't big enough to have your video thumbnail in there. Sorry, Liz. Okay.
Hello,
Sorry.
Tanya. How's New York?
Huh. Jeff found a little bottle of holy water. It literally said holy water on the bottle in the left pilot seat. I didn't know if the bottle of holy water was on the MEL. Stop playing with it. Yeah, thanks, Jeff. Okay.
Right. I'm just going to have a quick natural break. Back in a second.
Okay. And I'll focus on what people are saying on the chat. Okay. If you see me looking up like this, I'm actually looking at it's a long story, so I won't go into it, but I had to connect the big screen TV to my Mac Mini to regain control of it. Anyway, so I just left the thing on and I decided to put the chat from YouTube chat up here, and like it was a big giant screen, like a teleprompter, except for I just had to look up to see what everybody's saying. If you're in the Facebook chat, I won't see you on that, but I can see you in the StreamYard chat. But I have a feeling that most of you have probably moved over, except for, is it Colin just all by himself over there in the Facebook chat, enjoying his new retirement all by himself? That's sad. Colin, join us on YouTube. You'll have more fun. Gave everyone the direct link. Okay. Thanks, Liz. All right. So, let me make sure that Reaper's all set up. By the way, we were kind of sort of waiting for Stephanie to arrive home. She should be here with us soon. What's an updated ETA, Steph?
Right, I'm back.
Okay. Welcome back. Welcome back. Let me just play something in soundbite to get a good volume for my... Thank you. For my... for Reaper.
APG listeners, please join us on our Slack team. Slack is a communication, coordination, and sharing platform that works on your
Sounds
mobile,
good.
laptop, or browser. On Slack, we share news and ideas, we suggest episode and Plain Tales topics, we plan events and meetups to get...
I don't know why that's so loud in my ears. I just don't understand sometimes. Okay, let me make sure all the speakers are off. Evernote. Turn that off and let me make sure I can hear.
You nearly missed the whole podcast, Gail. We're only 3 hours from the end. Jeff Falmouth's been on the source again.
Can you hear this feedback?
No?
Yes or no?
Nope.
Okay. Why not? Because it says it's going to StreamYard.
Stefan, they've taken away your scrambled egg? Do tell, what's happened, old chap?
You don't hear your plane tail?
Nope.
Why is it not working?
Mm-hmm.
What's going on?
Got me there.
Well, that's going to be
Everything
no
was-
good. We can't hear the anything out of Evernote. That's no good.
Ah.
Okay, hang on. I got to turn off audio hijack. Back on. We'll try it again.
Well, yes. I mean,
No names.
well, actually, I've got
That's it?
a book,
Working now?
and it's 25 years.
I can hear it, and it's really loud in my ears. How is
Yeah,
the
it was
volume?
coming through there, and it was quite loud.
Okay.
What's the offer you've been given, Stefan? All is good. What was it? A fabulous redundancy deal?
Okay, try the volume again.
Years of RAF accidents.
Yeah.
I managed to find it on a book.
Man, it's loud for me.
Well,
Is that a
that's
better volume?
okay-ish here in England.
Okay.
It's a little loud, but not too bad.
Okay.
Good evening, Neville. Yeah, oh, that's a good point. Yes, we had a nice meet-up.
Bookstore, and it covers our whole period when we were in the Air Force. And what you don't
pretty good.
realise is that during that period of time, we seem to lose about 25 aircraft a year, and so forth. And some years were worse than that. And so when you analyse it,
yeah, it is a bit. Yeah.
When we're at Valley as instructors,
Is that better?
before we had all
No
the
change.
photographs of the
No
student
change.
courses on the wall.
Oh, I know why. Because it's the wrong
And,
volume.
Originally, the graduation ceremony, I'm going offline here, the graduation ceremony was at
How about now?
Linton-on-Ouse. That's where we all got our wings. And then they
It could
decided
still come
to
down a
change
bit.
it to being at RF Valley. Now, all the photographs are on the
God,
walls.
that's
of the
50%.
students. People are diligent.
You put it
Put
back
an
just
E
a
above
tiny
their
bit.
heads if they'd ejected.
Say again?
You can go back up a tiny bit, but
Okay.
And a
that's
halo
more or
above
less
their
there.
heads if they died. All right. And most of the courses had a lot of
good.
E's and a lot of halos.
Wow.
So when the parents came to the first graduation ceremony, of course, they were then taken to the squadron and having...
How about now?
Yeah, I think it'll be all right. Be all right for this show. If it was any other show, I'd say still a bit loud, but
Well, that's very helpful. I want it to be right for all shows.
okay.
Okay, well, we'll just wing it. So Steph says, do not wait for her. Luke is asking where you're staying in Wilmington. I am staying at some place called the Ballast. Never stayed there before. I think it must be downtown. Have you heard of some place called Ballast Hotel? I don't even see Luke asking me that. Where is that? It does sound like an old ship, Liz. Amphetamine. That's a
What?
app that I use on my computer to keep it from sleeping. I love it.
I think Tim's touting for more West Coasters to get in for a meetup.
Yeah, unfortunately, that's going to be coming soon, right? Why is it I don't see any of
15th.
these things?
I've just put it on the screen.
Oh, I see. Only four APGers have signed up for a vaccinated meetup at my house. Free vaccinations at Tim's house in Marin
Yeah.
this Sunday in Novato. Okay, well here, let's make sure that we talk about that. How do I
Okay.
do that? Can I copy this? Send me an email right now, Tim, with information, and then I'll do
Let me
that
just
and
type
get
it in.
notes.
I'll just type
Huh?
it into your notes.
Okay. Because we need to let the peoples know. And when is it exactly? It's like, the 15th. Okay. Yeah, that's coming up pretty quickly. That's only this Sunday.
What
Thank
are you
you.
using to coordinate the meetup, Tim?
Thank you, General Bell. Yes, I am too, Neville. Carrying too much ballast currently. Plenty of ballast. Stress eating, that's my excuse. Stress eating and drinking. Fargo Airport. All right, Kelly. Vaccinations and masks not required. Coordinating on Facebook, West Coast APG Ears Group. That's right. Doon, doo, 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 doon, doon. When is this 4 o'clock show supposed to start? I kind of want to wait. So what did she say, Liz? How long is Steph going to be? I know she said not to wait for her, but all right, let me get over here to this. 4 p.m. in Jackson by the time you start. Yeah, that's right. It's only 3:32 right now in Jackson, Mississippi, the Magnolia State Capital. Okay. So my volume is good in comparison with Nick's, Liz, or anybody else who might want to chip in on that. It's always 4 o'clock somewhere. Yep, Ken. Good point. Okay, thank you, Liz. Yeah, I forgot one little cable, and I can't connect Liz to my interface so that I can hear her. I'm so sad. I was so looking forward to that. I'm just thinking if there was any other place I may have stashed one of those cables. But so I'm kind of still in that transition between the Roswell APG headquarters and the Lake Burton APG headquarters, and I must have not packed everything that I needed to take with me. Oh well, it happens. Yeah. Right, Gail. You see what Gail is saying, don't you, Liz? Okay, now Liz is being snarky in our private chat. You know that equipment list you've never made? Update it. Thanks. All right, General Bell. Thanks for dropping by and gracing us with your presence. Yeah, it's getting late, Stefan. Okay, I get it. We'll go ahead and start then, I guess, huh? Are you ready?
Yeah, I'm ready when you are, sir, as always. Okay.
You ready, Liz? Give me a thumbs up.
My recorder's on, by the way.
Oh. And mine is as well.
Well done, sir.
Thank you. Oh, why do I feel so discombobulated today?
I don't know. Is it the drugs?
It could be the drugs. Shh, don't tell anybody.
It's okay.
Okay.
Your secret's safe with me.
Uh-huh.
I can't speak for the rest, though.
Okay.
Liz says she can't talk to you.
Yeah, that's why she's being so snarky. Another little sound check here.
You're listening to...
That's still way too loud.
You're listening to the Airline Pilot.
Is that really screaming loud to you all?
It sounds good over here.
Okay. All right. It's not screaming loud. Thank you, Liz. Okay. Let's just start this thing. 3:36-ish. Here we go. Take it away, Roger.
You're listening to the Airline Pilot Guy Show.
The view from our side of the cockpit door.
WAPG. It's the Airline Pilot Guy.
Airline Pilot Guy, episode 484.
Yeah, he's up in the sky. It's the Airline Pilot Guy.
Hello, you're listening to the Airline Pilot Guy Show, the view from our side of the cockpit door, with your host, Captain Jeff, broadcasting live from Studio 3G at the Westin Hotel in Jackson, Mississippi. Today's show is recorded on the 12th of August, 2021.
Yeah, he's up in the sky. It's the Airline Pilot Guy. Get your light and he's flying by. With the Airline Pilot Guy.
In today's episode, a controller's mistake puts 2 flights on a collision course at Paris's Charles de Gaulle Airport. It takes half an hour for a U.S. freighter to make an emergency landing in Japan following indications of a cargo fire. More news, your feedback, and today's plane tale. So get all settled in. Tray tables and seat backs in the upright and lock positions. Electronic devices powered on. I'm Radio Roger, and Flight 484 is ready for pushback.
Thank you, Radio Roger. He's an award-winning TV and radio reporter currently at the #1 all-news station in the nation. 1010 wins in
New York City!
Welcome to the Airline Pilot Guy Show. It's an aviation podcast covering the latest in aviation news and answering your great feedback. I'm Captain Jeff, a pilot at a major legacy airline based in Atlanta, Georgia. And joining us from across the pond,
in Hartford, Hereford, and Hampshire.
He is a professional photographer, former RAF, RAAF fighter pilot, retired Airbus A330, A340 captain for Virgin Atlantic Airways. It's Captain Nick.
Hi there, Jeff. The show is on the road. Can't wait. Not twice.
Stand by for news.
Time out.
Really?
Is it
You
not
gave me a
episode 484?
double retard? It should be 484. The last one was 483.
That's what I thought too. Maybe I named this, did I name the YouTube video the wrong number?
Don't know. Wait, why is there a question mark over 484, dear people in the chat room?
I think maybe I may have misnamed the YouTube.
YouTube says it's 485.
Well, just disregard that. It's 484.
Okay.
When I was doing some other work earlier today, I'm thinking, is it 484 or 485? I never went back to check to see if I'd screwed something up. Let's see. I need to bump up your volume a little bit, Nick, because
Okay.
I'm having a hard time hearing you.
How's that then? Is that any
No,
better?
you're probably fine. It's just it's me personally.
Oh, I was just speaking so that you could judge how much to bump
Oh,
it
okay.
up.
Well, why? Okay, go ahead and say something else.
And she sells seashells on the seashore. The shells that I can't get it right now. The shells that she sells are seashells, I'm sure.
Okay, very good. I think I see the problem. I have the wrong output device selected for you. Okay, very good. I hear you so much more clearly now.
Good. That's
Okay,
brilliant.
so now we have it all worked out, I think. As soon as I saw that, did he say 484? I'm thinking, yeah, why are they asking that? And then I thought, I think I know why. So, sorry. I will fix the YouTube name in post. But we really are on 484. And let's see here. So I just played the news sounder, so we should probably get right on into the news. And let's start off with this. It's a video. It's from, what is it, Real ATC Communications? What's the name of this YouTube channel? Somebody help me out. 100% Real ATC. Reconstruction of the Flight. Maybe that's the name of the channel. Okay, well, regardless, I am going to play a video, and we're going to all listen to it, and then we're going to talk about it, because that's what we do here on the APG. And take it away. All right, Reconstruction of Flights. This is 29 of July in Tokyo, Japan, a national cargo Boeing 747-400, registration 756CA, performing flight 891 from Tokyo Narita International Airport to Seoul.
National Cargo 8.
Wait a minute, I'm not. I can't read that fast.
210 for 240.
Stop it. That's not fair. Okay.
Those damned Americans, they're getting ahead of themselves again.
Well, okay. They were flying 891 from Tokyo to Seoul in South Korea during climb out of Narita Airport, about 27,000 feet. They reported a fire indication in a cargo compartment, declared an emergency, and requested return back to Narita International Airport. After landing, the aircraft stayed on the ground for about 4 days. Important. Position of the airplane may not be accurate. We don't show uninvolved airplanes. Unnecessary communications were trimmed. Okay, that's a little note from this YouTuber. And so now I'm going to hit the play button. If you're watching the video, you'll be able to watch it along with us. If you are listening to the audio-only podcast, which most of you are, then you might want to look at this again to see the radar track. Although you get the gist of pretty much most of what is happening here by just listening to the audio. So here we go. Take it away. I'm ready now. Move on. Let's go.
National Cargo 891 with you climbing 210 for 240 and requesting flight level about 370.
National Cargo 891 Tokyo Control, say again, request altitude.
We'll request, I'm sorry, let's change that to flight level 340.
National Cargo 891, Kuramada maintain flight level 340.
Okay, 340, that's comfortable.
National Cargo 891, declare direct Sapra, Sierra, Alpha, Papa, Romeo, Alpha, Sapra.
Clear direct Sapra, National Cargo 891, arigatou gozaimashita. And ATC National Cargo 891, we got a fire cargo aft warning. We'd like to vector back to Narita.
National Cargo 891, sorry, say again, please.
Can you give us a vector back to Narita at this time?
National Cargo 891, say again.
And we're going down. Yeah, get a vector back to the airport. To Narita, National Cargo 891.
National Cargo 891, say again your concern about the airport.
Yeah, we'd like a vector back. We're declaring emergency at this time. We've got a fire cargo aft, and we'd like to return to Haneda or Narita.
National Cargo 891, confirm your request back to Narita Airport.
That's affirmative.
National Cargo 891, do you accept first vector or non vector? Which do you accept?
Say that again?
National Cargo 891, do you request first vector to go back to Narita or non vector?
That's affirmative, short vector.
National Cargo 891, fly heading 180 vector to Narita.
Heading 180, vector to Narita, National Cargo 891.
National Cargo 891, Tokyo Control.
Yes, sir. We got a fire cargo aft, and we like vectors to the nearest airport.
National Cargo 891, confirm, do you request return back to Narita?
That's affirmative, National Cargo 891.
Roger, request reason.
We've got a fire cargo aft.
Confirm, fire alert on in car. Cargo 891, confirm, do you request emergency landing?
Emergency landing, that's correct.
National Cargo 891, now this time, what package do you get?
We are unable to hear the controller in the next short part of communications, but it's easy. Oh, I can't read that fast.
Hey, heading 180, maintain altitude 180, Master Cargo 891.
So one side of this conversation is not being picked up by the...
That is a firm. Fire cargo aft. Master Cargo 891.
The controller's asking about what's going on. Why do you need to come back?
Heading 160, Master Cargo 891.
Pilot was instructed to change frequency.
3245, Master Cargo 891. And control, National Cargo 891, they sent us back to you. We're descending and leveling at 180.
Pilot was instructed to turn on heading 150.
Left turning 150, National Cargo 891.
Pilot was instructed to turn on heading 180.
Okay, right turn 180, National Cargo 891.
Seems that controller asked the pilot if they needed any assistance on the ground.
Emergency equipment, National Cargo 891. Again? That is A firm, National Cargo 891.
A firm?
Well, we request direct to airport this time. We declared emergency, National Cargo 891.
Mayday.
Okay, 090, National Cargo 891.
Pilot was instructed to turn to 070.
Okay, 070, National Cargo 891.
Go ahead, Nick.
Yeah, it would have been helpful if they'd done that right at the beginning.
National Cargo 891.
Yep. I have a feeling we're going to talk about that.
National Cargo 891, descent 10 flight level 150.
Okay, controller's back.
150, National Cargo 891.
National Cargo 891, descent 8000, and return 2962.
8,2962, National Cargo 891.
National Cargo 891, Tokyo Control.
Go, sir.
Yes, we have already coordinated to Narita Airport to ready to fire vehicle. And do you need any assistance?
I just fire trucks. That's all we need. National Cargo 891.
National Cargo 891 already standing by fire vehicle at Narita Airport.
Fire vehicles are standing by.
Roger.
National Cargo 891, this time contact Tokyo approach 120.2, 120.2.
20.2, National Cargo 891. And approach National Cargo 891 out of the 12 for 8.
National Cargo 891, Tokyo approach, additional information remark, reach to Nena 64, expect ILS Yankee runway 16 right approach.
River 16 right approach, National Cargo 891.
National Cargo 891, descend maintain 8000.
8,000, National Cargo 891.
National Cargo 891, continue present heading, Vector ILS Yankee runway 16 right final approach course.
Roger, continue present heading, National Cargo 891.
National Cargo 891, request persons on board.
We have 6 passengers, those on board now.
6, Roger, and request remaining spare at the time of landing, please.
Okay, we'd like to continue your descent, National Cargo 891.
National Cargo 891, maintain 8000, and
something.
National Cargo 891, confirm, do you need any fuel dumping?
Negative, National Cargo 891. Only inform them do not open any cargo doors until notified.
National Cargo 891, second last part.
Upon landing, do not have them open any doors. National Cargo 891 will tell tower.
National Cargo 891, Roger.
Okay, we request.
Yes?
National Cargo 891, descend maintain 4000.
4,000, National Cargo 891.
National Cargo 891, expect about 5 minutes before landing. Expect request your fuel, remaining fuel at the time of landing.
90,000, National Cargo 891.
Confirm 90,000.
A firm, 90,000 kilograms.
Thank you. And do you have any hazmat on board?
A firm, National Cargo 891.
What kind of hazmat on board?
Lithium batteries, National Cargo 891.
Uh-oh.
Battery copies. National Cargo 891, turn left heading 050.
050, National Cargo 891.
Wish that Rick were here.
National Congress 1, descend and maintain 2,800.
Descend, maintain 2,800, National Cargo 891.
National Congress 1, turn left heading 030.
030, National Cargo 891.
National Congress 1, turn right heading 070.
070, National Cargo 891.
National Congress 1, turn right heading 130. 302 touch, clear flight Yankee runway 16 right approach.
Okay, heading 130 clear for the 16 right approach, National Cargo 891.
National Congress 1, contact Narita Tower 18.2.
82, National Cargo 891. Tower National Cargo 891, LS 16 right, and we request that no doors to be opened during landing, after we land.
Over.
Clear to land 16 right, National Cargo 891.
And they land. Little picture of animation of a landing.
And our deep smoke or fire from our aircraft.
No smoke. They vacated the runway and they lived happily ever after.
Yeah.
Wow. Yes, several of you were saying, this is painful. We agree.
Well, they had some distance to go. After all, they climbed all the way up to mid-20s. So, it takes them a while to get back down again. Oh, hello.
Mm-hmm. Oh, look, we have somebody joining us. And let's just do a quick introduction here. From her lakeside studio on Lake... you know her. I mean, all the things that she does. She's a skydiver, a marathon runner, a doctor, a jumper dumper, and our favorite co-host who living in in the Charlotte area. It's Dr. Steph.
Nice try. I'm not sure where that was going. I appreciate it though. Yeah. Good to be here. Sorry for my tardiness. You guys have been going for what, like 55 minutes already or so?
No, we haven't. No. We actually just started, I don't know, how long ago, Nick? Not that long ago.
No, we've been going for about 5-10 minutes.
Yes, no, I'm aware.
Not that long.
Yeah.
Oh, I see. You're being snarky too. Okay, got it. All right.
Sorry. Anyway, on with the news. I did miss the very beginning of this though, so I'm not sure I'll let you guys start talking about it.
Okay, let's kind of recap what's happening here. We have a National Cargo 747 taking off out of Narita, heading over to Incheon, South Korea. And they got an indication of an interesting way they put it. It's almost like they're reading the little annunciator light. A fire in the aft cargo compartment. I would have just told, well, first of all, obviously they have a fire or a fire indication. You have an indication. You have to treat it as if you really are on fire. And so that's one of those no time things. You just got to turn around and tell people what you're doing. And let's make the first thing you say, especially over in that part of the world, but as we talked about on our several of the latest podcasts, let's just start using Mayday, Mayday, Mayday anytime you declare an emergency. Yes, even us Americans who are not used to doing that, we just probably should get used to doing that. But if you're flying over there in Japan, Mayday, 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 and Squawk 7700. That way there's no, there was a lot of confusion right off the bat, wouldn't you say, Nick?
Absolutely, yeah. The term he used, fire cargo aft.
Yeah.
Well, that is not an internationally recognized thing. All right, fire perhaps, but the controller would be going, what the hell? What's a fire cargo aft?
That's what I was doing.
Yeah, mayday, mayday, mayday.
What the hell was that?
We have a fire in the cargo compartment, or something, just plain English, rather than reading out what's on your QRH checklist or whatever, because the controller doesn't. It's a different terminology for every aircraft type. It would be something different in the Airbus. It would be a smoke warning. It wouldn't be a fire warning for a start. So it's different, and it was just they got off on the wrong foot, and I don't think they really established the urgency of their situation. And they didn't make it clear what their intentions were. So I think before you make that first vital transmission, get it clear in your head what you're going to tell the controller and what you want to do. Because they said Narita or Haneda as if they want the controller to make the decision for them, and then they said nearest suitable airfield. So I'm going, okay, guys, these folk will give you information, but they're not going to think for you, particularly in Japan with the language problems you're going to have.
Right. That's why, and I can't stress enough, that's one of the worst things that can happen to us in an airplane is the airplane on fire. Whether it really is on fire or not, you just have to assume that there's nobody back there.
That's not one where you're like, you know what? Let's just continue for a little bit and see what happens.
Run some checklists.
No. Run some check. No. Just assume the fire is there.
And so Mayday, squawking 7700, we're on fire. They understand that. And then just point the airplane back at wherever you want to land, and start descending, and basically tell them what you're going to do. And they'll work it out. They'll move everybody out of the way. You'll just have to be aware of the terrain and such. So you're kind of on your own there, and hoping that you get help from air traffic control. But it seems to me that we're just way too dependent upon air traffic control to give them, proper clearances to do certain things. And I don't know.
I came in around the point where they said we are, at this point, we're just going straight back to the airport or something along those lines. Like, we need to go back now, and then they were still getting...
Right.
I wasn't sure if the vectors they were getting were direct back to the airport or not.
No. Particularly initially, they got turned south, which was like 90 degrees from where they wanted to go. They were making no progress for quite a while until they established that they were definitely going back to Narita. And then I think they just probably gave them a bit of guidance around airspace we can't see on that map. But having said that, if you have declared a mayday, and if you feel it's absolutely necessary, then you just say, I am turning onto a heading, and I am descending my aircraft. Now, it's a pretty risky thing to do in busy airspace, so it's much better to do it with the permission of air traffic, so that they will have cleared the airspace for you. Because if you just do things preemptively, you might be setting things up for your own situation, but you might have created an even worse situation underneath you, or be in even more danger. You risk a collision. So, absolutely. Having said that, and I hate to criticize these pilots because they had a lot on their plate, they had quite a casual conversational tone through, even before they had the problem. It was really a conversational style of radio transmission, which is not easy for the Japanese controllers to cope with. They are used to set phrases. They learn them, and then they will be able to respond to them. And for example, just the height they were going to level off at. Are we about flight level 370? You don't say about flight level 370 to a
Roughly,
Japanese controller.
Plus or minus, give or take a few. No.
You tell them what you're requesting. A simple, request flight level 370. That will go down, no problem at all. But anything else is probably going to raise question marks. Now, some controllers are better than others. Some really have exceptionally good English. The area controllers tend not to deal with anything other than straightforward instructions, simple instructions. So theirs is probably not good. And then when they realize there's an emergency, they will usually bring on the more experienced controllers with better standards of English. I don't know if you noticed towards the end of the flight, the standard of English had improved a bit. But regardless, you're always going to have problems in Japan when you say anything other than what, their set phrases. Standard RT.
Yeah.
Having said that, a lot of comments made about the controllers, and yes, the Japanese controllers could definitely always do with improving their standard of English, because for the majority it's very basic. And we've had, it's a few years ago now, but we had problems with, aircraft diverting for really bad weather, and just getting the message across to the controller that they were short of fuel and they needed to divert now was, for one of our crews, an almost insurmountable problem. And in the end, they declared a mayday and insisted on direct vectors to their diversion airfield. Then they got the service they needed. But up to that point, they'd had real problems explaining that they needed to divert because of the weather and that they were short of fuel. So they wanted to go direct track. This just simple things like that.
For anyone, even if you've maybe thought through some scenarios like this or considered language barrier difficulties in communication, it's still very difficult for any individual when you're in a stressful situation, an emergency situation, to then remember that and break everything down into small digestible pieces that are standard in phraseology. That's just not the way our brains generally work. But this is a good example of why that's important. And same with the one that you just brought up, Nick.
Yeah. But having said that, the Japanese can do a very good job. I mean, most of them are trained by American training systems. And, they get a lot of input from America. So they are pretty reasonable. They're certainly not the best country in the world, though, if you have a problem that's out of the ordinary. So just keep it basic, keep it simple, and you'll get the service eventually that you need. They're not very good at explaining why they're not doing, or why they're doing what they're doing sometimes. So if you say, I need direct vectors, then sometimes they will not give you direct vectors because they can't, but they won't be able to explain why very easily, because their English perhaps isn't up to it.
Yeah. Well, communication, as we have said so many times on the show, over and over again, is a very, communication is very important. And we have another item in our news that deals with miscommunication. And so let me share that with you all. And here we go. Should be on the screen now. This was something that happened in Paris. A slip of the tongue by an by the way, this is from thetimes.co.uk. A slip of the tongue by an air traffic controller put a United Airlines jet on course to collide with an EasyJet Airbus seconds before it aborted its landing at Paris, an official report revealed. Now, I think we did talk about this, or maybe we didn't. Maybe I read this quite some time ago and we never did talk about it on the show. But regardless, we're going to continue. Disaster was averted when the pilots of the EasyJet plane saw the United Boeing 787 bearing down on their runway less than 300 feet off the ground as they prepared to take off on July 20 last year, according to the Bureau of Inquiry and Analysis, the Air Accident Investigation Branch. The tower controller had told the United flight from Newark, New Jersey, which was carrying 73 people, that it was clear to land on runway 9 right at Charles de Gaulle Airport. The jet was on the approach to runway 9 left, but the pilots assumed they were being told to sidestep to the right. The United co-pilot asked for confirmation with an English expression not grasped. Wow, why is it so hard for me to say that? Yeah, that word. Mm-hmm. The United co-pilot asked for confirmation with an English expression not grasped by the controller, using the word understand rather than confirm. The controller did not react and cleared the EasyJet Airbus, which was leaving for Malaga, onto the same runway to take off. Only when they were already on the runway did the pilots realize the danger. The Boeing was less than a mile away, descending at 160 miles per hour. The EasyJet co-pilot radioed, "Traffic landing 9 right," and told the Boeing, "Go around, 9 right, go around." The Boeing came within 80 feet of the ground, just 250 yards from the end of the runway before climbing away. The controller told investigators that she thought her tongue had slipped because she was focused on runway 9 right with an Air France Boeing 787 that had just landed there, the report said. The report also faulted the United pilots for failing to use clearer language. So here we go again, miscommunication.
I think we did talk about this one.
Yeah, it seems like this is familiar to me. So I guess the final report just came out or something.
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, very familiar. Because there was the whole confusion about which runway they were supposed to be landing on, and then yeah, exactly as it said.
Yeah. I read this and I went, okay, they criticized the United crew, but I'm going to go, I don't think that's entirely justified here because I think it's fairly common to say understand rather than confirm. Confirm is not one of those essential words that we use. It would be quite common, I think, for people to substitute understand rather than confirm. So yes, it did add to her confusion, or she didn't pick up the concern that the crew had. Having said that, when you're told to switch runways, particularly when you're established, you're usually given change of runway or asked to sidestep. And without that sidestep command, I would have really been unsure. But that's why they asked, understand. So I would have tried to make it a little clearer, confirm you are requesting a sidestep onto runway, blah-de-blah. Yeah. So, but the controller was the one that allocated the wrong runway. So, I suppose the ultimate blame has to land in her lap.
And if I remember correctly, when we talked about this last year or whenever we covered this, the EasyJet, I don't believe, actually went on to the runway. I think they held short of the runway because they could see that the United was coming in, and they heard them cleared to land on 9 right, and they thought, let's pause for a moment and not go actually on the runway. But I could be wrong about that, but that's my recollection.
Yeah, it'd be hard to see down the approach if you were actually on the runway, wouldn't it? Because it's all coming from behind you, unless you're looking at your TCAS. Yeah. But again, we are getting quite a lot of these miscommunications, and it all comes down to basic use of standard, ATC phrase or standard radio communications.
And if something doesn't seem right, don't just assume. Ask for clarification, and ask for clarification again if you need to.
Yeah,
exactly.
And maybe rephrase when you ask for clarification. Don't just keep saying the same thing over and over and over again if it's not being understood, or you're not
coming into Jackson, Mississippi today. Somebody on the radio frequency asked Center to confirm that they were cleared to, like they said something, confirm we're cleared to flight level 230, and he said, confirmative.
I like that.
Yeah, I like that too. I like that word. He was confirming, and it was positive.
Confirmative.
We were always told not to give the height. That if we're requesting a confirmation, you don't say, did you clear me to climb flight level blah blah blah? You just say confirm height cleared to.
Right.
So that the controller says the height again, because otherwise, if you say the height and the controller mishears it, then he could confirm that you could end up repeating the error. So just ask for the clearance again. There you go, confirm cleared level, thank you. Pip, because I've been out of the business for a little while now, and those phrases are starting to disappear from my memory.
Well, it's a good thing we have Pip with us.
Yes.
And so many other great folks in our live chat. By the way, a reminder, if you're listening to the audio-only podcast, you should take the time to join this great group of folks when we do this recording live every week. You'll enjoy the conversation. Well, maybe you'll enjoy some of it.
Yes.
Maybe you'll get frustrated. On the other hand, maybe you shouldn't join us on the live show because it's very frustrating. Just kidding. All right. Anything else you want to say, Steph, before we move to the next?
Nope.
Okie doke. This is a final report. And this, I do remember talking about this one. This was the Miami Air 737-800, registration 732MA, performing flight 293 from Guantanamo Bay Naval Air Station in Cuba to Jacksonville Naval Air Station with 136 passengers and 7 crew. They landed on Jacksonville NAS's runway 10 at 21:42 local time, but overran the end of the runway and came to a stop in the shallow waters of the St. Johns River about 380 meters or 1,250 feet past the end of the runway and was partially submerged. All occupants were able to evacuate the aircraft. 22 occupants received minor injuries. One of them was taken to a hospital and released the following day. Jacksonville Sheriff's Office reported Marine units were called in to assist the rescue. All persons on board are alive and accounted for. Okay, that's kind of a recap on, by the way, I think this is from, the Aviation Herald. And so let me scroll down and kind of get to the final report, and that's the reason why we're talking about this. An extreme loss of braking friction due to heavy rain and the water depth of the ungrooved runway, which resulted in viscous hydroplaning. That was one of the probable causes. Contributing to the accident was the operator's inadequate guidance for evaluating runway braking conditions and conducting an en route landing distance assessments. Contributing to the continuation of an unstabilized approach were the captain's planned continuation bias and increased workload due to the weather and performing check airman duties, and 2, the first officer's lack of experience. According to both pilots, this is the NTSB analysis. According to both pilots, the takeoff, climb, and cruise portions of the flight were uneventful. The number 1 thrust reverser was not operational and deferred for the flight in accordance with the airplane's minimum equipment list, the MEL. The captain was a pilot flying for the accident flight. The first officer was a pilot monitoring. The captain was also performing check airman duties for the first officer, who was in the process of completing operating experience training. During the approach to Jacksonville Naval Air Station, the flight crew had 2 runway change discussions with air traffic controllers due to the reported weather conditions, moderate to heavy precipitation. Yeah, there were a lot of kind of pretty nasty thunderstorms around the airport. The pilots ultimately executed the area navigation GPS approach to runway 10, which was ungrooved and had a displaced threshold 997 feet from the threshold, leaving an available landing distance of 8,006 feet. As the airplane descended through 1,390 feet mean sea level, the pilots configured it for landing with the flap set at 30 degrees and the landing gear extended. However, the speed brake handle was not placed in the arm position as specified in the landing checklist. That's not good. At an altitude of about 1,100 feet MSL and 2.8 nautical miles from the runway, the airplane was slightly above the glide path and its airspeed was on target. Over the next minute, the indicated airspeed increased to 170 knots, which is 17 knots above the target approach speed, and ground speed reached 180 knots, including an estimated 7-knot tailwind. At an altitude of about 680 feet MSL and 1.6 nautical miles from the threshold, the airplane deviated further above the 3-degree glide path, such that the precision approach path indicator lights would have appeared to the flight crew as 4 white lights and would retain that appearance throughout the rest of the approach. 8 seconds before touchdown, multiple enhanced ground proximity warning system alerts announced sink rate as the airplane's descent rate peaked at 1,580 feet per minute. The airplane crossed the displaced threshold 120 feet above the runway. The PAPI glide path crosses the displaced threshold about 54 feet above the runway. And 17 knots above the target approach speed with a ground speed of 180 knots and a rate of descent of about 1,450 feet per minute. Wow, that's a very high descent rate that low to the ground. Wow. I mean, usually when you're any point in that final approach, anything more than 1,000 feet per minute usually means you're not stabilized and you need to go around and try it again. But if you're only, what did they say, 54 feet above the runway? No, 120
No, they were
feet above the
120. They should have been 54 feet above the runway.
So they were even sort of more than twice as high as they should be. And they were 1,450 feet per minute, and they were fast. You're right. Wow. Not a good recipe.
Nothing sounding stabilized there.
Nope. Not at all. The airplane touched down about 1,580 feet beyond the displaced threshold, which was 80 feet beyond the designated touchdown zone as specified in the operator's standard operating procedures, or SOP. After touchdown, the captain deployed the number 2 engine thrust reverser and began braking. He later reported, however, that he did not feel the aircraft decelerate and increased the brake pressure. The speed brakes deployed about 4 seconds after touchdown, most likely triggered by the movement of the right throttle into the idle reverse thrust detent after main gear tire spin-up. The automatic deployment of the speed brakes was likely delayed by about 3 seconds compared to the automatic deployment that could have been obtained by arming the speed brakes before landing. The airplane crossed the end of the runway about 55 feet right of the center line and impacted a seawall 90 feet to the right of the center line, 9,170 feet beyond the displaced threshold, and 1,164 feet beyond the departure end of the runway. After the airplane came to rest in St. John's River, the flight crew began an emergency evacuation. So again, it talks about the tailwind, the airplane's excessive approach speed, delayed speed brake deployment, increased the energy with which the airplane departed the runway and impacted the seawall, which contributed to the severity of the accident. However, post-accident landing performance calculations revealed that even if the airplane had landed on target speed within the operator's specified touchdown zone, it would not have been able to stop before reaching the end of the paved runway surface due to the presence of standing water, with depths close to that defined as a flooded condition on portions of the runway and the resulting viscous hydroplaning. Viscous hydroplaning is associated with the buildup of water pressure under the tire due to viscosity and a thin film of water between a portion of the tire footprint and the runway surface. And there is more detail here, but basically they screwed up. They didn't really do a good assessment of landing performance, especially for those conditions, and then they just made it even worse by coming in steep, fast, and botched the whole thing up.
Yeah, on top of that, I mean, the guy who was conducting the flight, the captain, was supposed to be doing training. He was also flying the aircraft. He was in poor weather, everything was stacked against him, really. And whereas if you'd been flying with an experienced first officer, he would have had cues and prompts from the other seat to probably remind him that they weren't stabilized. They perhaps forgot the speed brakes. An experienced FO would have been probably on top of this, but of course he didn't have that. So he had everything stacked against him. However, when it comes to stabilized approach criteria, they are black and white, and if you don't achieve them, it's very simple. You just go around, and then all your problems will actually ease, because you'll have time to set yourself back up again, fly the approach better next time. You might even have time to do that very important runway landing distance calculation.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Well,
sounds like they didn't really know that it was a flooded runway, though. They didn't get that information.
Well, they did know that it was a heavy thunderstorm,
sure,
and a heck of a lot of rain on the runway, and they should have known that the runway was not grooved.
Yep.
So, yeah, you would just assume that
lots of standing water.
It's going to be standing water on the runway. Not that there's going to be anybody out there, with a measuring stick to.
Yep, it's flooded.
It's definitely flooded. Yeah, I'm trying, Liz. She said, you need to play. Here we go. No, that's not it.
You did that last week.
I know.
If it don't look right coming down, don't wait until you're sideways, baby, sliding on the ground. You can always
go round. All right.
You know, funny I think, Jeff, I always assumed that it was air traffic's responsibility to go out in the rain with a measuring stick and tell you what the runway surface condition was, particularly if it was really bad. Like you look out the tower and it looks like there's huge puddles around. You might want to tell the guys that the runway has standing water, depth unknown. Give them some clue. Just don't just ignore it.
Yeah, but this was a Navy base, and
okay.
These Navy guys, they're used to be like those aircraft carriers, and they're surrounded by water. I mean, deep water.
That's water everywhere.
So they're probably thinking, what's that? This is nothing. These guys can handle that.
Yeah, exactly right.
Yeah. Oh, Adam is saying no.
No, the tea won't drink itself. Very good, Adam.
Oh, my. All right. Well, that's enough of that one. Pretty much everything that when we initially covered it, we suspected that was a contributor to the accident. And the NTSB basically confirmed all of our thoughts. They probably listened to our show. And then
I'm sure they don't even bother doing an investigation. They just go.
They just they covered that. That's just what we should put in the report.
You're welcome. That's what we say.
Yeah.
All right.
Great.
Yes. Liz says APG is not a bunch of garbage.
You know what? NOTAMs are.
And I know you're expecting me to find that, but I can't. Well, wait, here it is.
That's what NOTAMs are. They're just a bunch of garbage that nobody pays any attention to.
Very true.
All right. Now, here, this next one is
this for real? This is for real.
I know. It's like, really? Is no way. This is not possible. So, and I don't know if I stumbled upon this or who else.
It was floating around and being posted to multiple places.
Very good. Floating around.
No pun intended.
Lake Michigan.
Well, that's interesting. I'm looking at I never noticed this before. Now that I've enlarged the photo a little bit, I just thought it was this guy sitting in the cockpit of this Sea-Wind Saga aircraft, amphibious aircraft. But now I noticed he's got that towel up against the control yoke with his knee kind of propped up against it. I'm thinking, is the airplane not able to fly in trim? That's kind of weird, huh?
Yeah.
Maybe we should read.
Yeah, okay, let's do that. Let's see, where does the reading stuff start? Okay, here we go. A small amphibious airplane is on the bottom of Lake Michigan after crashing during the 4th of July weekend. But fasten your seatbelts because the pilot says how it got there is one barnstormer of a story. I don't know if I'd describe it like that, but anyway, Dennis Collier, a licensed Traverse City pilot, Traverse City, Michigan, paid $110,000 for the 2010 Sea-Wind on a Saturday, ended up in the drink a week later, and on the way crashed, by his own account, 7 times in 7 days in 4 states. Okay.
He had a lot of cheese, Swiss cheese on board. That's all I can say.
You know, we really don't have enough time to read the whole thing, but it is quite a story that everybody should read. And, from just about every segment of his journey from California to Lake Michigan, you were scratching your head and shaking your head going, what? What? How is it that this guy hasn't died yet?
I don't know. He used up 7 of his 9 lives apparently in this one, though. So
yeah,
I wouldn't. If I were him, I would not get into any more aircraft or pilot them anytime soon.
No, it's just one of those stories where you think to yourself, really? I mean, is there any way that this could possibly be true? And I don't know. Maybe it isn't. Maybe we haven't verified it, but we haven't done any fact checking. But this amphibious aircraft, the Sea-Wind Saga, it's a pretty good looking airplane. There's a picture of November 8 UU, uniform. And I did a little bit of research on this, and a lot of folks will actually take that Lycoming, I think a 300 horse Lycoming, engine that's kind of mounted in an unusual manner from the vertical fin forward of the vertical stabilizer and basically just aft of the cockpit area of the aircraft. But some people have actually upgraded that engine to a turboprop, like a Pratt & Whitney PT6.
PT6, really?
Yeah.
Interesting.
Wow.
That's a lot of power. For
a lot of power.
Because it is an unusual place to stick it, really.
Well, that's because it's
sticking out from the
amphibious.
top of the fin. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Put it somewhere
really
where it's
is.
not going to hit the water.
Looks very...
And it's
Thank you,
interesting.
Liz.
I wonder whether you get a change in elevator effectiveness, whether you've got full power or idle. Because, I mean, the slipstream, the prop slipstream must play directly on the elevators and change the airflow over them.
Yeah.
So I wonder if that's a factor for them. It's weird. Very weird.
I don't know. It's a unusual airplane for sure. Looks pretty cool. It'd be. They say it's kind of demanding to fly, and that might be part of the reason, Nick. But anyway, do yourself a favor. Read this article about this guy who basically a week after purchasing this airplane for $110,000, put it into Lake Michigan, and it sank for good. So if you're looking for one of these, you can probably figure out where it went down and get a submarine or something and pull it up. But I think it's pretty deep in that area of the lake.
Lake Michigan, on average, is very deep.
Okay.
So good luck.
He explains why he's got that towel there, because the left wing servo, the hinge tab, was stuck, he said, and the nose of the aircraft kept pitching up. When it got worse, he put a rag between his knee and the yoke, bracket steering wheel, bracket, and pushed as hard as he could towards Nebraska.
There you go.
Yes, so apparently he couldn't trim it out.
So just keep flying it. That's fine.
Yeah, just keep going. That's no problem.
What could possibly go wrong? Well, several things.
Lots of things went wrong.
Lots of things. Yeah. So, hey, let's see, what's his name again? Dennis.
Collier.
Dennis, if you're listening to our show and you want to defend yourself, please contact us. It would be fun to talk to you.
Yeah, send some feedback in. We'd love to know.
Anyway.
About the decision process is going on here.
Peace, man. All right.
Absolutely. Love it.
Yeah. So
he's 88 years old?
No, I think the guy that he bought it from.
Okay. All right. Fair enough.
Okay.
I was going to say he didn't look that old, but there you go.
Doesn't look a day over, what?
70?
60 something? I don't know. Sure. Yeah.
Jeffrey Galloway says Swan Seawind for sale. Low hours, fresh paint, clean interior, light water damage, no lowball offers. I know I have. Very cute.
Dear.
Our audience, they're so clever. All right. And finally, we have this item in the news, and I'm not sure if this is still going on or not. It's been in our news notebook for a while. Have you guys heard about any updates on this story about fuel shortages?
I have not.
Okay.
Look at the last
Liz is telling me to look at the last article. Okay, here we go. Last article is right here. Nantucket Airport runs out of jet fuel, and I'm assuming this is from the Nantucket magazine. Nantucket Memorial Airport has run out of jet fuel at the peak of summer, impacting commercial and private flights at one of New England's busiest transportation hubs. On Saturday, the airport suspended jet fuel sales and informed commercial carriers that they needed to fly into the island fully loaded with fuel due to the shortage. Airport officials said Saturday night that they were not only facing overwhelming demand for jet fuel, but also a logistical nightmare in getting fuel tanker trucks to the island due to record competition for reservations this summer on the Steamship Authority ferries. They also cited a national truck driver shortage as playing a role in the unprecedented situation. On Saturday, the airport reserved jet fuel for its scheduled air carriers, including JetBlue, Delta, United, and American, in order to ensure those flights and thousands of passengers reached their destinations. Around 1 p.m., the airport stopped selling fuel to the hundreds of private aircraft that come and go from the island on any given summer day. And Liz is believing that this article was written this past Saturday. So our first article regarding the fuel shortages was talking about American Airlines warning about the jet fuel shortages around the United States and asking pilots to conserve. And so it talks about these possible issues. And I think it all kind of stems from the fact that they're having a hard time finding people to drive these tanker trucks with fuel to get them distributed to various airports.
If it's anything like the United Kingdom, they've had a lot of shortages in supermarkets and things because, a lot of truck drivers have caught the COVID, or they've been pinged and are self-isolating. And some guys have moved on to other jobs because during the lockdown there wasn't, perhaps a lot of work for them. It's and when you get a sudden demand like this, very hard to suddenly gear up a transport system that had previously been just idling along.
Yep. Let's see. Jeff again. Just have the flights meet up with the tanker once they take off.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, not a lot of commercial jets have that capability, Jeffrey, and you know that. Smart Alec.
Well, they should change it.
Yeah, they could wave at each other.
That's true.
We have all the fuel. Sorry.
That's right.
Yeah. Anywho.
Yeah, just, logistics, supply chain issues like anything else right now.
Now, I have, in my own anecdotal experience, at least, well, I didn't fly for about 30 days, so maybe that's when all the fuel shortages were going on. But I have not noticed it before my little break and since I've returned, which was yesterday. So, and in fact, Acme Airlines, I believe, said that they weren't really being affected too much by it, nor was Southwest Airlines. And I think they said they were just doing a lot of tankering. But again, I have not done any tankering on this trip as of yet. So maybe it's because of the type of airplane I fly. I don't know. But anyway.
Yeah. Tankering for the uninitiated?
Carrying with you.
Carrying, extra fuel.
As in a tanker truck? Like you have, like your own tanker?
Yeah, so you carry, one of the things about tankering fuel is that it's weight. And so the more weight you add to an airplane, the more fuel you're going to burn carrying that extra weight. But the airlines will look at things such as the availability of fuel, but usually it's the price of fuel. And so a lot of times, if they can put extra fuel on board the airplane, that will help offset some of the costs of not filling it up, but putting in fuel for the return flight, and they can save some money in that way. It's kind of a dual-edged sword, so to speak, as far as tankering fuel. But anyway, okay. That's about it. Anything else to add before we get on to my favorite part of the show, which is getting to know us? Oh, you know what I meant to do? I meant to make an overlay that had the lyrics on here, just to prove that I have the lyrics.
And choose to ignore them.
Yeah, I just don't sing them the way that, just like the Java Jive, the APG Java Jive. We changed the words on that too.
It's true.
Nobody ever says, "Don't you have the lyrics to that, Jeff?" Let me send them to you.
It kind of just flows.
Well,
you always sound like you get lost in what you wanted to sing.
I do, but that's part of the charm stuff.
If you say so, I will stop giving you a hard time about it. Then I did not realize that was on purpose.
I'm trying to be charming. It doesn't always work.
Carry on.
Yeah, thanks. All right. So Steph, I
have to read Dale's comment here about tankering.
Okay.
This is a simple explanation. Tankering. It's a bit like when you order 2 drinks for yourself at the bar because there's a long queue. Exactly what it is. Thank you, Dale.
Yeah. And that's always a good plan when, there are long queues. Steph, how have you been?
Good.
Great.
Busy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So last show, I think you were telling us about all these things you were going to do.
All these things. It was like one thing, which was to participate in a triathlon, I believe.
Oh yeah, how'd it go?
It was good. It was a lot of fun. Quite a short triathlon, and it was about, I think they said they had 70% of the usual number of participants.
So it was only a biathlon?
No, it was still triathlon. There's still 3 sports. The swim portion was 250 yards, which is 10 lengths of the 25-yard pool. And the run was the bike was a 10K, so 6.2 miles, and then 2 miles of running. So it was fun. Yeah, I did that in my
afternoon.
Or 7:30 and 7 o'clock in the morning. Either way.
Oh my god.
And this took place in the suburbs of Chicago, specifically the one that I spent several years of my childhood in. So kind of right down the street from the junior high that I went to. And on the way there, we passed some soccer fields that I recall having played soccer at as a child. I was not a good soccer player. I don't know why I was continually signed up for it. I remember doing a lot of handstands and cartwheels at the wrong end of the field during those games. Because I was not very interested in soccer.
Were you playing the game or were you a cheerleader?
Well, technically I was on the team. And that's how I ended up doing other sports.
And then she was doing her handstand and then doing one of those.
Going to
one of those kicks, like into the goal, upside down.
So when someone threw kicked the ball your way, you were doing a handstand.
Yes, basically. Okay. I was not really participating in the game. I was on the field. That's about as much participation as I put into it. But I did recognize those, so it was kind of funny. And I was invited by one of my good childhood friends. She did the race as well, and she's been doing it for a couple of years now. And this year we were like, yep, we put no training into this, but we're just going to go out and send it and give it our all. And we're going to get, in the top 3 in our age group. And then we're looking at our age group. And of course it's the most competitive age group. And some of the age groups only have 2-3 participants. Ours has 24.
Man. Wow.
But my friend goes, every year that I've done this race, I've come in 4th place, and I am bound and determined to make it on that podium this year. I said, sounds like a plan. Let's do this. Okay. So as we were signing up for it, she convinced me to sign up for it when she was here visiting me a couple months ago. And we may or may not have been having some drinks in my kitchen when we were filling out our application for this race.
No.
So she asked me, since I'm the swimmer, the one with the swimming background, she asked me to calculate her estimated swim time. And I gave her a number. She said, that sounds great. So she put it down. And then she went to pick up our bibs and realized that we were seated number 4 and number 12. And she said, I don't think that's right because it's based on your swim time since that's the first sport that you do. Mine was correct. She was worried about hers. It turned out to be correct. I was like, no, you're a better swimmer than you give yourself credit for.
Cool.
So it was fun. We were, one of the first people because they still had everything kind of spaced out. They had everyone start 30 seconds apart based on your bib number. What's that?
I said, hey man, I'm spaced out. Sorry.
Spaced out.
Dude.
Spaced out. Spaced out. So I did my swim. I think I was somewhere just under 4 minutes, so not super fast. And I've done one triathlon before in my life, so I'm not really good at this whole transition thing where you have to then run across the parking lot and get your bike and put your shoes on and, put your bike helmet on and then back out onto the course. But not too bad on the transition times. I was on the bike and my friend came flying past me because she's put a lot more time into cycling in her life than I have. So that's great. She's going to do really well. She'll get on the podium. And then we did the run, and I ended up passing her in transition though, because she was switching shoes, and I just did everything in the same pair of shoes. But long story short, overall, I think I was out of all the women in the race, I was 5th, and I ended up coming in 3rd place in our age group, and my friend ended up in 4th. Again.
No! You beat her back to 4th. Oh,
she said, I'm not inviting you to a race again.
No, you should have looked back and said, no, come on, you have 3rd.
Yeah. No, it was fun though. We had a good time. It was good to see.
Brilliant.
Good to see her. Good to see her family.
Well done to you
brief
getting
visit.
on the podium.
Yeah, it was good, and I think of the top 5 women, so first, second, and third were all in my age group as well. They took the overall female winner out of the age group results, so really I was 4th in my age group, but that's neither here nor there. And then I got beat by someone in the 60 to 64-year-old age group, which was a little humbling.
Wow.
She had a very fast bike time.
Ah.
So, but that gives me, I like to see that. It's like, okay, so when I'm, in that age group, I'll still be competitive and out there. And
Well, it sounds to me you'd have done a lot better if you'd just done some bicycle training.
Probably, yeah.
Yeah, because you had mentioned on the last show that was your week.
It is.
Yes.
It is.
Right.
I can't remember the last time I actually rode a bike not on the trainer that I have set up in my home gym, like actually out on the road. Can't tell you the last time I rode a bike on the road, except for this race that just happened.
Is that because of the concussion or what?
The concussion. Yeah. No, I'm afraid I would get a concussion from
your last bike ride.
Yeah, exactly. No, I think the last time I rode a bike on the road was at the previous triathlon that I did, which was probably in 2015. Yeah.
Right. Okay.
I probably would have done better too if I had not decided to fly to Chicago at like 9:00 at night and gotten more than like 4.5 hours of sleep.
That's so unusual for you to do something like that, Steph.
I would never. That doesn't sound like me at all. I don't know why I would do those things.
That's normal.
Yeah.
For Steph.
No. But then I had a very lovely brunch with a couple of my aunts, and then got on a plane and came home. So I was in Chicago for about 16 hours. It's great.
Sounds great. Did you have a Chicago special meal? Some
Nope.
of those.
Did not.
I
had planned to get
pizza, or?
I had planned to get an Italian beef sandwich for dinner, but we were late getting out of Charlotte, and by the time I got there, I knew I just had to get to my friend's house because she was waiting up late for me to, so that we could get to bed. And basically, the only thing open in the airport was McDonald's, so that's what I had for dinner.
Lovely.
So I fueled my run with McDonald's.
Good. Sounds good.
Follow me for more great tips about how to be good at sports.
Especially her nutrition plan.
My nutrition plan, my rest plan, my rest and recovery plan.
Yeah.
Yes, very good.
So that's what I've been up to. It was fun.
Excellent. Well, I'm glad you did so well in that triathlon. That's impressive.
Mm-hmm. Thank you.
Nick, how about yourself? How are the sports going with you?
Oh, well, the sports are doing pretty well, actually, because I'm down to sort of club level matches now. I'm still in the West Surrey, which is a sort of county area champions match, so that's doing okay. Club level, I'm through to the finals of the men's singles, and nearly through to the final of the mixed pairs and the handicap singles. So progressing fine. Back is holding up. Just started getting some weird side effects from the Codamol, so I'm onto a different opioid now, which sent me to sleep this afternoon. So I'm trying not to take it, but needs must. It's actually been quite good today, so it just comes and goes. However, on the good side, I was able to hook up with our great friend from PT UK, Mr. Bounds, Neville Bounds, and his lovely wife, Sue. So they were spending the weekend in Winchester, which is my wife Julia's favourite city. She did her teacher training there, and it is indeed a beautiful city. Cheers.
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 Yeah, just put that spoon anywhere. That's
here's
fine.
to Winchester.
Yes.
One of my favorite
Absolutely.
cities too. I have no idea where it even is. That's great.
Brilliant. And
I've been
we
there.
Went to, yes, you have. Yes, you did. In fact,
Yeah.
you,
Is that where they
we
make
were
gin?
there.
No.
No.
We were. Did we go to the Wickham Arms? I can't remember. That's a pub that
Yes.
Julie loves.
We did.
A really
It was very good.
old-fashioned pub. Well, we went back there and had very nice meal and quaffed lots of ale and talked and scribble until we eventually parted company and dumped him back at his hotel. But it was very pleasant. So thank you for that, Mr. and Mrs. Neville. And the only other thing I'm going to talk about now, I did mention it last show, going to have a UK meetup, and now I've made some arrangements. So the location is the Hangar Cafe at Fair Oaks Airport, which is just north of Woking. And it's going to be on Saturday, the 25th of September, between around, there's no fixed time really, but between, sort of opens around 10 a.m. and I expect to depart the fix at about 2 p.m. In the afternoon. So we'll have lunch at the Hangar Cafe basically and have a few coffees or adult beverages if you so desire. There's the overlay. The Hangar Cafe is the little bright spot in the top left corner. And remarkably, that building is where I had my very first aviation job as a sort of airplane washer, toilet cleaner, general dog's body at the Fair Oaks School of Flying. They've now converted that building into the cafe. It's no longer a flying school, but that's where it all kicked off for me. So anyone who wants to go, you don't have to let me know. I know Ruben Wells and I know Adam Spink are going to be there, but we're just going to get together. If you want to fly in, of course, it's a damned airport, so that shouldn't be a problem. Just bear in mind, though, it's underneath
it's closed.
Yes,
bear that in mind.
Yes. Just bear in mind it's underneath the London Terminal Control Zone. So you have to come in through a narrow corridor at about 1,500 feet from memory. Probably changed over the years. After all, I did learn to fly there some 45 years ago. It's probably changed a bit. And do a kind of a visual approach to get through that narrow corridor because there'll be big airplanes flying just over your head. And if you go up too high, you get into trouble. But it's a nice little airport, and they've now got a tarmac runway, I see. So got lots of stories from that airfield, from watching my first aircraft crash to having one of my mates on the course turn his give his Cessna 150 folding undercarriage. That was quite amusing. It doesn't normally have folding undercarriage, but
I don't think that they make a model that has retractable folding gear.
No, he managed to achieve that. And
some slight modifications. Then these were modifications that occurred while in flight or on.
It was on landing. He got into one of those lovely porpoising PIOs, and eventually stumped the front end in. But there you go. So anyway, fingers crossed it's good weather and that there won't be too many restrictions. So tick that in your diary, and if you can make it to join us all for just to watch the airplanes and have a drink on a Saturday lunchtime, that would be great. So that's it, really.
A little birdie told me that ATC doesn't speak good English at Fair Oaks either.
Does it not?
No. I don't know. I don't know anything about that.
When I was there, they only had some advisory chap. He was a mate of mine in the tower. And I think all he did was basically give you the runway and use from the QFE or something. But no, I've no idea. There used to be a tower and something else you used to use to find your way in. But I don't know about things like that because I'm an airline pilot now, or used to be.
Very cool.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I wish I were able to go and have fun with all you over there at your meetup at Fair Oaks, but I'm sure that you'll provide us some sort of report after the.
Oh yeah, I'll have my recording equipment. So if you're going to pitch up, be prepared to say something more intelligent than hello. Have a short story for us or something.
Something clever.
Exactly right. Adam says Fair Oaks is still a FISO, which I think stands for Flight Information Service Officer or something, rather than Air Traffic Controller. But there you go. He'll probably say. Anyway, that's it. And it's not for a while yet, so I'll mention it a few more times between now and then.
Well, speaking of people that can't speak very good English, it's Carlos's birthday today. The host of the
Happy birthday, Carlos.
Yes.
Just kidding, Carlos.
You speak
He's
okay English.
Yeah, I understand him, and that's all that really matters, right?
He's a fluent Malteser, I think.
Yeah. Yeah, Carlos, I hope you're having a great birthday today. Thank you, main man Micah, for reminding us of that fact. And let's see. Oh, last week we played in the news segment the duct taping of the passenger to an airliner seat, which actually did happen. That was the true part of it, the correct part of our segment. The part of it that wasn't exactly right was that flight attendant, which we thought was the actual flight attendant, is actually a comedian. I think even Nick said something, well, he's got a career ahead of him. Yeah, thank you. Below 50% is the banner that is being displayed now on the video. So, yeah, I was taken hook, line, and sinker. I thought that was actually the flight attendant, but no. It is not. This guy is a bona fide comedian, and he's done several little spoofs like this on various people and that sort of thing. So the real spark, I think.
It was a good touch that he put the newscasters at the end of it, though. That's what really kind of.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Was that really
or maybe
a
they
newscast?
Or maybe they were taken by it.
Yeah. That could be. That's
Either
probably
way,
what
it's
happened.
Funny. And
yeah. Oh, yeah. It was great. It was just not completely 100% real.
It was,
but, yeah. So just wanted to make sure that everybody, is straightened out by that. And, I really thought that was the flight attendant. So my bad.
I did too. I thought it was hilarious. That was great.
I think I learned the next day that it was not, and I did not bother to say anything to anyone here. But
that's fine.
I did not know at the time.
Well, I think it was Liz that told me at first.
We got feedback about it. Yeah.
Yeah, we got Greg Peterson and Jonathan Keeling and several others of you pointing out the fact that we got that wrong. Oh well. It won't be the last time either. I can guarantee that.
Don't have too high of expectations.
Yeah. So earlier or was it before we started the recording today? I think it was. Tim Van Ram out in Northern California, the West Coast APG group, and you can find that on Facebook if you're on the West Coast, especially in the Northern California area. They are having a meetup in Novato, Marin County.
Novato?
And Novato.
Novato.
Novato. I said it right.
Not the state of Nevada.
No,
I just misheard. Okay, because they're in California.
Novato, California, in Marin County. And let's see. He says, vaccination is required. Please look on Facebook for details. Again, the West Coast APG group. So it's only 3 days from now, the 15th. And they only have 4 people signed up. I was planning on going. Unfortunately, some things kind of happened in my life. So.
Is it on Slack? Are there slackers that can confirm
I don't
for us
know if it's on Slack or not. But hey, if you're listening right now and you are a slacker, post something on there for Tim. I don't know if Tim's a Slack APG member or not. But anyway, so I'm expecting more of you to show up and for you all to have a great time and to send us some feedback.
Audio.
Yes. Kelly Kirk, speaking to meetups, and not to be outdone by Tim Van Ram, says he's looking for APGers for a meetup at Fargo Airport. And he says, no masks or vax. So, live dangerously and meet up with Kelly Kirk in Fargo, North Dakota. And they don't have a date for that yet. And then Mark Van Ram, the other Van Ram brother, is going to be up at the Udvar-Hazy Center at Dulles International Airport in the outside of Washington, D.C. in Northern Virginia. And the Udvar-Hazy Center is having Innovations in Flight this coming Sunday. No, is it this Sunday or is it Saturday? This Saturday or next Saturday? I don't remember. August 21st. There we go. I'm looking right at it. August 21st at the Udvar-Hazy Center, Innovations in Flight. And a lot of folks that your names that you'll be familiar with will be on hand at Innovations in Flight, including that guy that likes to hang out in restrooms wherever I am, getting showered up and talking about Slack. Our main man Micah is going to be there, and his friend Eric, and let's see who else is. I believe maybe Max Flight will show up. The Airplane Geeks usually do a kind of a formal coverage of the event, but I don't believe this year that it's going to be a formal thing. But they will be there, and we'll hang out with you if you're going to show up as well. And Micah, if you don't mind, you can quickly. Okay, Max Flight and David Vanderhoof will be there, and yeah, and also the Airplane Geeks will be having their regular meetup at the Red Robin restaurant that evening, Saturday the 21st. So check it out. And yeah, Kelly says DM me on Slack sometime in September for the possible Fargo meetup. So we have all kinds of meetups out there. Hey, and if none of us on the APG crew can make it, no problem. You'll probably have more fun without us, actually. So if you want to get a group together somewhere, although probably not. I think you'd have more fun with us, right?
You'd have more fun with us, but it's not a requirement for us to be there. If you
exactly
would like to get together and
absolutely
enjoy each other's company, please do.
Yeah.
Yep.
We condone it.
Let's see. Liz is asking if I'm going to be seeing Larry in Tulsa next week. I might be, Liz. I do have a Tulsa layover, I believe, on Monday of next week, and then I think I'm going to be back there again toward the end of the month. And I've been talking with Josh Glaze as well. I think that's right, Josh Glaze, who is also in the Tulsa area. And so we're talking about the possibility of a Tulsa meetup, perhaps. So stay tuned for information about that. Likely you'll see it on Twitter and Facebook and perhaps even on Slack. So again, stay tuned for all these great meetups that we're going to get all cranked up again. So that's exciting.
Hey.
Yes. Okay, and Liz communicated with me. She's not actually communicating with me vocally or over the control room comms because I forgot one of my cables to allow that to happen. But she is texting us in our little private chat, and she asked me, Jeff, did you do the overlays for the coffee fund? Well, you know what the answer is. No, I did not. That's another one of those things that I forgot. I'm really just all out of sorts here for some reason. Anyway, we're going to do the coffee fund anyway, and I'm going to look over below 50%. Who threw that one up?
Liz.
Liz, thank you. Appreciate that. She has nothing better to do, so she just popped up the below 50% banner.
Absolutely. Can I just add one final one, Jeff?
Oh, yeah,
because
sure.
Because Stefan has just posted that they're going to have a combined Omega Tau and Come Fly With Us podcast meetup on the 3rd of September in Stuttgart. So if I'm sure the APGers amongst us can go and gate crash that one.
Yeah.
So just go and crash their party, APGers, and take it over.
Laura, are you available to go to Germany in September?
That's right. Just go and take it over and tell them to stand by because the APGers are coming.
And we need to send her a Fly Acme Airlines flag, which is kind of our official APG logo, because she's always carrying the flag and defending our honor. So it would be appropriate for her to have a flag that she can carry with her at all times. Yeah, very good. So check out the Omega Tau and Come Fly With Us podcast. Meetup in Stuttgart on the 3rd of September.
Yeah.
Anybody else? Come on. Anybody else? No? Okay. That's enough. Now it's time for us to talk about those wonderful people that support us financially. And there are no layovers, so you'll just have to look at my ugly mug.
No thanks.
I talked over them. Sorry.
I love coffee. I love tea. I love the APG community. Coffee and tea and the Java and me. A cup, a cup, a cup, a cup, a cup.
All right, that is Jeff Smith singing the APG version of the Java Jive, and a couple different ways to join the Coffee Fund, and one is PayPal, and we call it the Coffee Fund Classic Method, the original, the OG. And since the last episode, we have a couple of folks that have taken advantage of that. Stephen Asprey, Mazutz Karim, and Maurice Van Den Acker. They all used the Coffee Fund Classic method to become members of the Coffee Fund cadre. And we also have another way that you can become a patron or a member of that wonderful group of folks, and it's called Patreon. You can become a patron of the show. And since the last episode, we have a new producer. His name is Neil Herbert. And again, if you want to find out information about Patreon or the Coffee Fund Classic method, please head over to airlinepilotguy.com/coffee. You'll be glad you did, and we will too.
Captain, incoming message.
All right, how are we doing with the physiological functions?
I'm good. I think Nick is taking care of his.
Okay, good. That's good to hear. Oh, and he needs to be back here for this next one. I see him coming back. He's sitting down, putting his earbuds back into his ears. And
you were waiting for me? How nice.
We are, because LaDon sent us some more audio feedback, and it has something to do with these Airbuses. So let's
really?
Yeah.
Dreadful.
Let's listen to what LaDon has to say. And I like to play around and say Leiden because I think it's kind of funny.
Hello, APG crew and community. Just currently driving on my way home from one of my flying lessons. Still chipping away at the check ride prep. Just flying around. I actually just went up to just go fly. It was pretty great. Just going up in the pattern, using my solo endorsement, and just doing some laps around the pattern, working on some soft field and short field techniques, doing a mix of both. A mix of trying to land on a short soft field scenario, which is probably not ideal, but hey, I could do it. But anyways, this feedback is not about me. It is actually, I was just thinking about the Airbus and how it has 2 side sticks, and I was listening to another podcast, the Far Aim podcast, and they were talking about things you should be in like a 2-crew environment and just like CRM kind of stuff, and 3-way verbal, I forget the term, but the 3-way verbal handing off of controls. And I was thinking in the Airbus, it's not really that easy to, if you hand off the plane and make sure somebody else is actually flying the plane or actually stop flying the plane. Because in a Boeing, they both move simultaneously. So I was just wondering how that works with the whole dual input kind of thing. I know the Airbus yells at you, telling you dual input in a British voice. So I was just wondering how that works. Like, if somebody is flying, let's say the captain side is flying, and then the FO decides to start moving their stick around, what kind of goes on with the aircraft. So yeah, that's really all. Hope all of you guys are doing well, and can't wait to listen to the next podcast that you guys publish. Have a great day.
Thank you, LaDon. So, Nick, do you have
Yes,
any
sir.
answers for this young man regarding the side stick controller? And I'm not sure what he was talking about, that three-way thing regarding transfer of control. But
I think you have the controls, I have the controls, you have the controls type of thing, right? Like where you
that's
just positive
that would-
exchange of.
Yeah, that would be a procedure that an airline would have. But in my experience, it's a straightforward, I have control, you have control. When you say I have control, you do so as you take control, and as you relinquish control, you say you have control. But other people use different words, but as long as there is a clear level of communication and it's at a standard call, not something you just made up on the spot, that's fine. The pilot flying obviously is the man with his hand on the stick. You can both have your hands on the stick. But if the pilot monitoring starts moving it, then you will get the dual input. You'll get dual input, you'll get flashes and an arrow indicating where the dual input's coming from, as well as the voice. It's quite obvious that the other guy's putting control inputs in. If it's the captain, he should never really do that. If you're going to take control, you take control. And as you say, I have control. If you're doing so because the other guy's mishandling the aircraft, you also press the takeover button. There's only one red button on the control stick of an Airbus, and it doesn't fire the missiles.
I was going to say it wasn't like an ejection seat for the FO.
No, if only.
That's an optional.
Optional feature.
Exactly. What it does is isolate the stick. So when you press the red button, your stick becomes the only stick that now works. The other guy can do whatever he wants with the other one, but none of his inputs are going to be registered. If you hold that button pressed for more than 40 seconds, then it locks out the other stick completely.
And then the airplane crashes.
The other stick, you've still got your stick. And the reason for that is if for some reason the other stick develops a fault where it's providing a continuous input, or the other pilot has a seizure of some kind and he, thrashes around moving the stick or leaves an input in as he has his heart attack, then after 40 seconds of holding that red button, you can then let it go because his stick now won't come back unless you play some clever tricks. And I'm thinking there is a button on the panel we used to bring up all the systems, which is the emergency cancel button. And that's the button you use if you've got a spurious but repetitive warning coming through. You can cancel it out so it won't reoccur that flight. Something you only do if you're absolutely certain you know what you're doing, but I have a feeling if you press the reset button that's beside that, you should bring his stick back. But anyway, that's by the by, and I'm not absolutely certain of that. It's been a while since I've read the books. But yeah, it's very simple. It's the same procedure as you would if you had yokes. You're still going to say I have control, you have control, and relinquish control of the yoke. You can follow the guy through probably, but if he feels you on the controls, then it might put him off a bit. But and it's perfectly logical. So all that still happens, and you can have your own control of the aircraft if you press that red button and cut the other pilot out if he's doing something wrong.
I kind of see where he's coming from because in his experience, the kind of airplane he's flying now, there is no autopilot, and you're just flying. And then when somebody wants to take control of the airplane, there's a positive transfer of aircraft control. And part of it is not only the verbal part of it, but the actual physical part of it. You actually feel, your yoke moving when the other one is, jiggling the yoke, so to speak. But if you kind of transfer that over to the kind of airplane that I'm flying now, and most of the time it's on autopilot, but we still do the transfer of aircraft control. If we get busy doing something, I'll say, or if I'm going to make a PA, I'll say over here to First Officer Russ, hey, you have the aircraft and the radios, and sometimes I'll even kind of act like I'm shaking the yoke, but I'm not going to do that, of course, because I don't want to override the autopilot or kick the autopilot off or, do something weird with the airplane and the passengers go, what the heck is that? So, it's like we're not really moving the yoke in a transport category aircraft when we transfer control, just as, the side stick controller is the same thing. I guess the tactical or tactic feedback that you might get. Is
tactile?
That right? Tactile. That's it. That's the word.
Ding.
Thank you. Yeah, bell. Insert bell here, Jeff. Okay. Thank you. The tactile feedback is not there, but I don't think it really needs to be there because the tactile feedback is not there when we have everything hooked up to automation. So I don't know if that made any sense or not, but I think that's what he was kind of getting at.
Complete sense.
Okay.
Same thing. If you've got the autopilot in both side sticks in the Airbus, solenoids will grip the stick, so it feels solid. You can overpower those solenoids quite easily, but the stick feels stationary. There's a definite clunk when it locks when the autopilot goes on, and if you've both been chatting on a long cruise and no one's been hand flying the aircraft, and all of a sudden there is an emergency, it is common for Airbus pilots, for the pilot flying, just to remind the crew, particularly if there's been a crew change, because you've got a heavy crew and one crew's gone off sleeping and the other crew's come on, for the handling pilots to say, I have control, just to remind you both who's flying the airplane, and then call for ECAM actions, in other words, for the pilot monitoring to start actioning the emergency. But the first thing he does is to reiterate that I have control, ECAM actions. And that makes certain between the two of you, you know who's flying the airplane.
Very important. Who's minding the store, right?
Absolutely.
There have been major accidents, several in history, where somebody just assumed that, Joe over here is flying the airplane, nobody's flying the airplane, including the autopilot.
Exactly right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Good question, though.
Yeah. I mean, it sounds basic, but I'm sure people wonder about that, and it's
and there's really a lot of misunderstanding concerning side sticks and whatever. But I mean, heaven's sake, military airplanes have had side sticks and control sticks, and lots of airplanes have that type of flight control, and no one really has a problem with them. It's an imagined problem, I think, from people who go, well, how does that work?
Yeah.
Superiority problem of people who like yokes better.
Yeah. It's like Ford and Chevy and Dodge pickup trucks, right?
Yeah, but I've always said if you're a professional driver or a professional pilot, you fly or drive whatever you're given to work with. Just get on with the job, guys.
And I think
that's right.
I mean, it'd be very odd to make it through a longish flying career and not experience multiple different types of flight controls.
Mm-hmm.
So.
Exactly.
Yep. And Liz added Apple, Android, Nikon, Canon. Yeah, we can go on and on about the little silly things that we kind of argue about.
Well, for a few of those things, there's a clear superiority.
Really, Steph? Okay. Well, you know what? The other thing that he talked about at the beginning of his audio feedback were short field, soft field landings, and it looks like I don't know if LaDon you ever hang out in the live audience when we're recording the show, or watch the video after the fact, because you can watch the chat relay on YouTube. But they're having a really great discussion. I think it's about short field and soft field landings. Steph,
question was asked about what from someone who is not a pilot, just differences to be aware of on a grass versus pavement strip. So
okay.
They were going through different things that you might consider and do differently.
Well, it's just typical of what happens when we're doing the show. Sometimes the chat gets off onto a tangent, and sometimes oftentimes, most of the time, it's probably more interested in what we're yakking about on the show. So you should check it out. It's a lot of fun. They seem to be having a lot of fun. But hey, guys, pay attention. We're doing a show here.
Now they're debating the merits of one. That's
very good, Liz.
They went into electronic medical records too, which brand is superior to others.
What? You're kidding, right?
No.
Where are they talking about that?
Right there. Epic versus Allscripts.
Oh.
Epic's better, by the way.
Okay, I didn't even recognize that as...
I know. If you know, you know. Just one of those
Okay.
things. Has nothing to do with aviation, and I'm sorry I even mentioned it, but it made me laugh. Thank you, Pliny.
That is funny. Okay. Excellent. All right. Thank you, LaDon, for sending in the audio feedback, and we appreciate hearing all that road noise in the background while you're driving.
Ambiance.
The ambiance, yes. Let's see. Let's continue with some more feedback. This one from Magnus regarding an interview with Captain Carlos Dardano, TACA Flight 110. It's a YouTube video. Anyway, he says, "Hey, Captain Jeff and crew, I hope you're doing well and having a lovely summer." I know I am. I'm on a road trip through Sweden with my little Mazda MX-5 ND2, open top, listening to your pod. Magnus, you know better than that. He put a little emoji. I guess
little
it's like
wink
a big.
There. It's a grinning face.
Grinning face. He knows I don't like people to call these things pods. Anyway, here's a great interview by Mentor Pilot with Captain Carlos Dardano from TACA Flight 110, who landed on a grass levee adjacent to NASA's Michoud assembly facility. Is that the way you pronounce that? I don't know.
Sure.
Well, yeah, we're going to go for it. Nailed it. We're going to now play just a little snippet of Mentor Pilot's YouTube video with the interview with Captain Dardano. And here we go. And I'm hoping that this is the right one. I'm gonna hit.
Hi everybody, and welcome to Mentor and my summer paradise here in northern Sweden. Today I have a real treat for you guys. I will be interviewing one of the real heroes of the aviation world. A pilot who has been shot through the head and lost his eye, yet continued to fly, which he's going to tell you all about, by the way. He's also managed to land an airliner without any engine power. I'm talking, of course, of the legendary Carlos Dardano, and here comes my interview with him. Stay tuned. First of all, Captain Carlos Dardano, it is a pleasure to have you here on the Mentor Pilot YouTube channel. Thank you very much for taking your time to come in and talk to me.
Well, thank you. The pleasure is mine, and thank you for having me.
What stuck out to me, obviously, was how you...
What a tease, huh?
Wow.
So
we've discussed that particular incident before, at least
we
once.
have many
Maybe
times,
twice. Multiple times.
Yeah, multiple times. And but the thing that's interesting about this interview, and I didn't watch it long enough to where they're talking about this incident landing on the levee, but he talks about his how he ended up losing his eye, which is an amazing story. I'm like, what? He was a victim of a terrorist attack, in a GA airplane, and yeah, you really should, because we always talk about him and the landing on the levee with the dual engine flame out due to water ingestion, but never talk about we say that he only has one eye, but I don't recall ever talking about how he lost it. So.
Well, I did mention it in my plane tale. Because,
except that I'm thinking about that plane tale that I'm sure I was listening to the whole time. I'm sure I didn't leave and go to the bathroom and get a beer.
just as I was telling everyone how he lost his eye. Which that plane tale you can find on APG 327, or of course just go to the website and look for it, and it's called The Dead Stick.
Busted. So should I cut this out? No, I'm not going to cut this out. I'm just going to show everybody what an idiot I am.
Episode 300 and what? That was a long time ago. You can't possibly be expected to remember all those details.
It was in the 300s.
I don't even think it. I think it was before I became one of the hosts of the show.
I think so, actually.
I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, well. Anyway, it's a great story, not because I tell it, because it is a great story. So, if you listen to the Mentor pilot, or better still, listen to the plane tale.
Yes, I
Listen to
heartily
both.
approve and recommend.
Jeff has some homework to do. He's going to go listen to both of those things, and then he will provide us with a recap.
And I'm going to make
on the next
notes and
episode.
compare the two, and I'll give my rating.
And we'll have a little test on the next show.
Yes. And Magnus, thanks for getting me in trouble there. Actually, it was all my fault. It was not
job.
Magnus. It was me just being an idiot. So I apologize, Nick. I do remember now that you're great.
Well, they've been several hundred
discussion
plane
of that.
tales. I don't expect you to remember them all.
Well, thank you. He's going to have words with me after the show for sure. I guarantee it. All right. Speaking of plane tales, this is some feedback from Dave. He says, "Hi, Captain Nick. Thanks for this plane tale. Great as usual." And he's talking about the Japanese airline JAL DC-8 plane tale, which I believe was the last episode, right?
It was the USHO defense.
Yes.
Not the
See, I
arsehole
do
defense.
listen. I pay attention sometimes. Okay, he says, I recall as a child looking through a telescope from our living room in the San Francisco Peninsula Hills at that aircraft sitting in the bay. Later, of course, after the fog was gone. Here's a tiny follow-up to that story. My father was the manager of navigation engineering for United Airlines at the time. UAL had its major maintenance facility at San Francisco and was contracted by many airlines, including JAL, for any maintenance required at that location. That included most of the repair and salvage of this airplane. I recall my father telling me about a big mistake in the initial recovery. The aircraft, well, the initial big mistake was them landing in the bay, but the recovery big mistake was, the aircraft stopped in a slightly nose-up attitude with most of the fuselage above the water, including the cockpit. However, the recovery crew lifted the tail first and flooded the cockpit and all the avionics therein with seawater. Yeah, they probably got, that's no problem. Which resulted in a huge replacement rebuild expense that should have been avoided. He wanted engineers to get on board first and remove as much of that stuff as possible, but that wasn't the course that they ended up following. There was a bit more required than a hose down to refurbish that stuff. And again, that's Dave E. from Palo Alto, California.
I have a very hard time saying Palo Alto. I really have to slow down and practice it. Palo
That's one of the
Alto.
words that I'm not having trouble with today. I can't say that for
That's
many.
why I was just putting it out there because I knew you were struggling with a few things.
Oh,
I just
thanks.
wanted you to know that occasionally I struggle with things too, and Palo Alto is one of them. And if I don't say it that slowly, it does not come out properly.
I understand completely.
But going back to the feedback,
there was feedback. Correct.
I love it. I love it that these stories. There are people who actually witnessed some of the events and who take the time to write in. The fact that there are listeners, I think, is remarkable. In the first instance, I mean, this is brilliant to have a personal recollection of an incident like that. I think is fantastic. I remember also the Alaskan crash off LA, the one where the Acme nut came off. I'm pretty sure we got feedback from a pilot who was airborne at the time, and also from, you remember we had murder on the flight deck. One of the pilots who was in those stories, a pilot who was murdered by a hijacker on the flight deck. His son wrote in and gave us an account of from his point of view of what happened, which I think is absolutely fantastic. So I sometimes I have a little concern that I might get things wrong when I tell these stories, or I might accidentally offend someone. But so nice to have this kind of positive feedback on a tale from someone who actually was there and saw it. I think it's absolutely brilliant. Well done.
No, and I mean, I would just add that I think that you put a lot of care and research into telling the stories, and I don't think you have to worry about that at all. I think if something is misrepresented or said incorrectly, it's not because you meant to do it, and I think you would get positive feedback on it no matter what.
Yeah, his son.
Maybe it was
his
some-
son, is that right?
Yeah,
Liz?
yeah, his son.
Yeah.
Son.
Yeah.
I believe so, yeah. Yeah, you said that.
Yeah.
All right. Well, very good. I'm glad that Dave kind of, made me feel a little bit better about Plain Tales. Maybe made Nick feel a little bit better as well. All right.
I always feel good.
Yeah, that's what she said. Okay. Next item is from Mike, and he said, "Hi, just recently there was a discussion on the APG podcast about how many times, or not, the crew have gone around in their careers. As luck would have it, when I was flying into Minneapolis on July 16th on Delta, we did a go-around. It made me smile. It made some of the passengers nervous. But the crew quickly made a PA and said another aircraft didn't clear the runway in time, so we were going around. Safety first," he noted over the PA. "I just thought that the timing was impeccable." And that's from Mike Smith in Maynard, Mass. Very cool. And yeah, that's in my experience, that's probably 9 times out of 10 the reason that I've had to get into a go-around situation. It's because the aircraft that landed ahead of me hadn't cleared the runway in a timely manner. They missed that last high-speed turnoff, and then they had to go to the end of the runway. And when that happens, it doesn't work out very well usually. All right. Control room's telling me that we can play one more piece of feedback, even if it has to be from this guy, audio feedback, and then we'll do the Plain Tales. So, all right, we put it off long enough, I guess. Let's play this feedback.
Well, luckily, he's just left the chat room.
He
so
did.
it's
Oh,
perfect
good.
timing.
He did. So, I just was concerned that this might be an attempt to take over our podcast as well. But since he's left the chat room.
You never know.
I don't know. We can't really tell what he's doing behind the scenes, can we? All right.
True.
All right. Here we go. This is from our good friend and professional air traffic controller, Adam Spink.
Hi guys, Adam here from the UK. Some feedback on APG 483 about the ATC interactions with that aircraft going to Boston. As much as it pains me to say it, I agree with Captain Nick. It was obvious there was something else going on. It wasn't just communication issues, language issues. There was something else going on, whether it was a technical issue or CRM issues in the cockpit. But the crew were obviously behind the aircraft. And when you detect that as a controller, you need to abandon your usual sort of procedures, not phraseology. Obviously, we need to keep standard phraseology, but your normal way of doing things, and just slow down. Metaphorically, put your arm around the pilot or the flight crew's shoulder and just say, "It's okay, we've got this. It's going to be okay. We'll get you on the ground and we can talk about it then. We're on the same side here. We're on the same team. We're trying to achieve the same aim. We want you to get on the ground as safely as possible." That's it. If you keep trying to apply your normal procedures in the normal way when somebody's already struggling, then it's just going to make things worse. And again, I have to agree with Nick that I assume the controllers are mandated to say the words, was it possible pilot deviation, as a precursor maybe for them then writing a report about the occurrence, which I can understand why they have to say those words, but I don't see the benefit. Sort that out when the aircraft's on the ground, as you guys discussed last time. Sort it out, ring up the tower if you're the TRACON controller, and get them to talk to the pilot when he's or the flight crew when they're just about to park or when they have parked. and just say, stay on the when you park, stay on the frequency, or report parking on frequency. And then when they report parking, you just go in and say, can you call this number? We're all on the same side here. We're a service provider, and the pilots are our customers. So we always need to bear that in mind. It's something, I've said this before in feedback. I don't really get the idea of, although it didn't happen in this case, I'm not singling out this particular case, but almost punishing pilots for not understanding, for not doing what they're told. The whole sin bin concept, I don't get that. I'm sorry. So what I would have liked to have seen, or certainly what I would have attempted to do, is, like I said, develop that cooperative relationship with the flight crew, especially as it's obvious they're in a bit of trouble with the aircraft. They're behind the aircraft. Reduce the number of instructions you're giving in one transmission. Just say it one at a time. Descend to 3,000 feet. Turn left heading 040 or whatever. And just, try and develop that relationship. Get the flight crew to understand that you're helping them. You're not going to punish them. You're not going to, be sarcastic to them. And again, I'm not saying that this happened in this case, but get the flight crew on side and slow things down, make things simple, and everybody gets to where they want to go safely at the end of the day. Anyway, that's coming up to nearly 4 minutes. I'm running out of time because I need to leave some more feedback for my other podcast, my main podcast, the Plane Safety Podcast. So there'll probably be another episode of that coming out in about 8 or 9 months. So I should probably give them some feedback as well. Anyway, hope to see you all soon, and love to all. Bye.
Oh, brilliant.
We love Adam.
Yeah.
He's not wrong, I mean...
That's why it's so funny, really.
I know. It's funny.
No, he's quite right. But Adam is the consummate professional when it comes to this sort of thing. Mm-hmm. And he has the ability to very, very level-headed, and even, I suspect, if he was really upset with a pilot who might appear to be being deliberately obstructive, he would be very calm and even-toned and just deal with it and sort it out afterwards. And I think he's exactly right. That's the way to do these things.
Yeah, it's not constructive, and it's not helpful to become to let your anger be shown over communication on frequency.
No, then you become part of the problem.
Exactly. You can't do anything constructive when that happens.
Yeah.
Nope.
So we agree with you too, Adam.
Yeah. Linear 2 is an interesting thing. Is a thing in aviation like after action debrief? Most certainly, if there's been an occurrence on my flight deck that I think needed to be dealt with, I would close the cockpit door after we parked up, and we'd have a discussion. And if necessary, if we were on a layover, then I'd say, let's talk about it in the bar. But we need to talk about this. And if it involved other agencies and it was important enough, then you'd try and arrange some kind of meeting with either air traffic or whatever to discuss what went wrong. And it's one of the great things about aviation. We try not necessarily to find fault. We always try to find a way to improve the situation, not to pick holes in other people's behavior or their attitude. We just try and find ways to improve things so that everything gets better.
Absolutely.
I agree.
Thanks, Adam, for sending in your feedback. We do appreciate it. And now it's about that time for this week's installment of the Old Pilot's Plane Tales. And this week's is entitled 4 Instructors Walk into a Bar, Part 2.
The Old Pilot's Plane Tales. 4 instructors walked into a bar, Part 2. A continuation of stories from a flying instructors reunion.
What's your favourite story, DL? Favourite story?
Yeah.
I find it difficult because there are so many, and it's
Well, tell them all.
So diverse.
Didn't you nearly eject?
I mean,
yeah, didn't you nearly eject?
Well, yes. I mean,
no names.
Well, actually, I've got a book, and it's 25 years of RAF accidents.
Yeah.
I managed to find it on a bookstore, and it covers our whole period when we were in the Air Force. And what you don't realise is that during that period of time, we seem to lose about 25 aircraft a year, and so forth. And some years were worse than that. And so when you analyse it, I mean, when we were at Valley as instructors, we had all the photographs of the student courses on the wall, and originally the graduation ceremony. I'm going offline here. The graduation ceremony was at Linton-on-Ouse. That's where we all got our wings, and then they decided to change it to being at RAF Valley. Now, all the photographs are on the walls of the students. People had diligently put an E above their heads if they'd ejected, and a halo above their heads if they'd died. All right, and most of the courses had a lot of E's and a lot of halos.
Wow!
So when the parents came to the first graduation ceremony, of course, they were then taken to the squadron and having a wonderful day, and coming down the corridor, of course, then saying to their son or whatever, these pictures, what are all these E's and halos? And once they told them, they were horrified, so we had to remove them all for any future graduations to downstairs.
E for exceptional and halos for above section.
What you're referring to is, I think, in all of us, we all had our little incident at some point or other. That's the thing. And I thought I was pretty fortunate. I was doing okay, I hadn't had any major incidents. And then when I was instructing at RAF Valley, we had night flying coming up. I was outside of currency, so they decided I have to go and get my currency. So I'm going to go off with one of the guys who were in currency, which was the flight commander on the other flight. So we taxi down, and all's good. And as we're taxiing down, he says to me, well, do you want the takeoff for landing? And I always like the landing. I feel I've completed the sorting and everything else. So that was my first mistake, to say, I'll have the landing. So we get down, and sure enough, we line up on the runway, and off we go. And we're just lifting off, and the wheels are coming up now, and all of a sudden there's this almighty bang. The aircraft shudders and everything. And now I've had an engine surge in the Hawk, so I knew that was, there's no way this is an engine surge. This engine's done some serious damage. Now, as you know, the briefing before takeoff is any major emergency below 250 knots with the gear up is climb to a safe height, point in a safe direction, and eject. There's no question about it. So you've got to remember that when the engine explodes like that, the electrics go. So the only light we had in the cockpit was the attention getters flashing like mad. So the thought process, I'm not going to knock off the attention getters. It's the only thing I can see in this cockpit. Because the last thing you think about is putting the emergency lighting on.
Yeah.
So I'm sitting there. So the first thing I look at is the height and speed. So I look in, right, 150 feet, 210 knots. Right, we're going out. He's flying it from the front cockpit because he's decided to have the takeoff. And so sure enough, he starts pulling up. Right, so I go for the handle, because I've got the command eject in the back, waiting to just point in the safe direction. And as I'm doing this, he shouts out, going for a hot relight. And I'm going, oh my goodness, has he seen something I haven't seen? I mean, I thought the engine had blown itself up. So I look again, and the height's climbing up towards about 600, 800 feet now. So I said, right, you deal with the aeroplane, I'll deal with the rest. And at this stage, I get a call from air traffic, which is saying, we've seen a large amount of flame coming out of the back of your aeroplane. Is this normal?
Stand by.
So I then put out the usual mayday, 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 wait. And whilst we get on with this. Friend of mine, he's walking out to his aeroplane for night flying across the road at Jerry Whittingham, and as our aircraft takes off and the engine explodes, there's a massive amount of flame comes out the back. I mean, it lit the whole airfield up. They even saw it in the mess. And he gets the silhouette of a fuel bowser with a flame behind it and thinks the fuel bowser's going up. So they both hit the ground and hide under the airplane. So we're now climbing up.
Good place to hide.
We're now climbing. We hit 800 feet, and now we start to go down. And this comes back to what you're saying. When you're in these situations, it goes into slow motion. Everything is just complete slow motion in time. And I'm sitting there going, well, I've always wanted to eject.
There's always one,
thought about it, but I'm not so sure now. Anyway, and I find out afterwards, he's thinking, I wonder which hospital they'll take us to. These are sort of thought provoking. Yeah. So anyway, it was now going down into this sort of inky black hole of the estuary just beyond the runway. And still waiting for this engine to relight. And we're getting to 600 feet. So I'm starting to think, we really need to get out of this thing. So I realise he's got his visor up. And of course, you know, with the detonating cord and the Hawk, you need your visor down ideally.
In way of explanation, in order to improve the reaction time for the ejector seat, the Hawk aircraft had the canopy lined with miniature detonating cord, which was coated in a lead-like substance, which zigzagged up and down the perspex. In the event of an ejection, as the ejector seat started moving, a striker would fire this detonating cord, and there was a great deal of splatter from the coating, in addition to shards of plastic which would be sprayed around. But it allowed the seat to literally be on the move as the canopy shattered, taking about half a second or perhaps even a second off the reaction time for the ejector seat when compared with aircraft who had to jettison their canopies first.
So, and again, always saying that you mustn't we use the word eject. So I thought, right, I've got to have to get him prepared. So I said, are you ready to go? To which he shouts back, no. Oh, my goodness. So I'm looking at it, well, we got a couple more seconds. I'm going to give it 2 more seconds and then we're off. And so I'll find out later on he thought I was asking if the engine was going. But anyway, so 2 more seconds. We're getting to about 400 feet now, and the engine just starts to wind up. So it's starting to wind up slow. And gradually, as the power comes up, we start to level it off. And we get to level it off at 200 feet.
At night.
And this engine, we got to 90%, and it's graunching like nobody's business. There's a screech coming out of it. So we get to 90% and think, well, we've leveled it. We can hold it level at 90%, but we can't do anything else. We'll leave it at that. So we go out over the sea. I was thinking, well, we'll eject over the sea now. At least we've got it safe over the land and so on. We'll eject over the sea. And then we sit there going, well, it's maintaining height. We might as well try and see if we can do a fixed powered back into the base.
Flying a fixed powered circuit is a common technique for single-engine jet aircraft, whereby you can complete a circuit with a set amount of power and not varying that power until you're absolutely certain you're going to arrive at the runway safely, effectively using your flaps and gear to oppose any additional power you have by creating drag, or leaving those services till very late if you haven't got a very high fixed power setting. But it's common for a jet engine to be able to run for quite a while on a set power setting, but the moment that the power is varied, the engine ceases.
So we go back into the base and do a fixed powered into it to land it. And as soon as we pulled the throttle back, it just ceased. Boom, gone. And climbed out the cockpit and met the sort of welcoming party, of which one person had to say, whoopee, we thought you were going to crash. And as the guy in the front with me was about to hit the person, I grabbed his arm and said, "Come on, let's go to the bar." Anyway, we found out afterwards what had happened is that it shed a whole blade off the first stage of the low pressure. And that blade had taken off every single blade off the second stage of the low pressure and a turbine. And because it was out of balance, the graunching, it was up against the titanium casing. And you could actually see the groove in the titanium casing that it had been making as it had been spinning around. But how on earth that engine started again? Because it was only the high pressure. And fortunately, all the bits went down the bypass. So, yeah.
And what did you get for that, Dave? Did you get a DSC?
No. I got an endorsement on my license. You understand?
An endorsement,
as you know, a green endorsement, which sounds.
You didn't get a medal.
So wonderful. Yes.
Did you get a pay rise?
Didn't get that either. You know, no, didn't get any bonuses or anything.
Well, it's better than a red endorsement. A green or red endorsement was a permanent entry made in your logbook by your superiors to either commend you for a particular act of skill or, in the case of a red endorsement, completely the opposite. I don't think they handed many of those out when we were around, but...
No.
Did you ever nearly bang out, Nick?
Sorry?
Did you ever nearly bang out?
No.
Never any near mid-airs or anything? So you just had a boring fighter tour on your board?
Yeah, absolutely. Nothing ever happened. Yeah. Come on, guys. What's the funniest stories, though, we've got?
Well, I mean, again, it is a crashing incident, but it is funny in its own way, is that when I was on 29 on the Phantom, and a guy came in with emergency at night, total hydraulic failure. And we were actually finished night flying, so we were in the bar, and we heard the emergency state 2 coming back, and then we heard a bang, and one of the guys turned around. I think they've ejected. Oh, and then we heard the emergency state 1. Well, what had happened is they'd come in because of a total hydraulics failure. They were coming in to take the wire and missed the wire. It was quite a heavy crosswind, so it's now pushing them off the side of the runway. And because they've missed the wire, they've gone into full reheat to go round again. And because you lost the hydraulics, you're in manual rudder. And it takes 200 pounds of force to get full deflection on the rudder, which the guy wasn't used to. So they now drift off the side of the runway, and they're now on the grass at night in full reheat. So the obviously the decision was, I've had enough of this, and they eject. Of course, the aircraft now is in full reheat, steaming down the grass, down the edge of the runway, disappears over the main road into the fields, and eventually ends up as a ball of flame over there. So the 3 crash tenders now that are waiting now see the ball of flame in the distance. So right, off we go. So the first one goes shooting across the grass and finds that it's boggy, so he gets bogged down. So the 2 behind then decide, well, we better get on the runway, and so they're shooting down the runway as fast as possible towards the ball of fire. In the headlights appears the navigator who's landed on the runway, such that the first fire tender slams his brakes on, and the other fire tender went into the back of it. so we've now got a fire tender stuck in the mud, 2 fire tenders crashed on the runway, and an aircraft burned itself over the main road somewhere.
I love it.
After I had my ejection, I was in the bar at Binbrook, and I bumped into a crew. I don't know whether they were a Phantom crew. I'm not quite sure. But
were they handsome and smart?
No, they were really ugly, so they probably were Phantom.
Well, they
crew.
must have been Jaguar boys.
So I get chatting to this crew, and this my accident seems to, for some reason, becomes it's known or talked about. And one of these guys, the pilot, he said to me, "Are you getting any sort of funny dreams?" And I said,
Really?
"What about the accident?" He said, "Yeah." I said, "No, I'm not really." He said, "Oh, you probably will at some stage." I said, "Oh, why? Have you ejected?" He said, "Yeah, I ejected." I said, "Oh, right. So what did you eject from?" He said, "I got out of a Canberra." I said, "All right, and you're okay?" And he said, "Yeah, I'm fine." And the other guy with him, who's nav, said, "Yeah, but the navigator wasn't." And I'm thinking, "Oh dear, I've touched on a very sensitive subject here." And this chap, the pilot, said, no, actually what it was he said, I was a test pilot at Boscombe Down, and Canberra had crashed in strange circumstances. So we got tasked with reconstructing the accident to see why this aircraft had crashed. And basically it had lost control on finals, doing a practice single engine approach. We thought it shouldn't have done. So they wanted to reconstruct the circumstance of the accident. So I was given this Canberra, the same fuel load, the same weight, the same configuration. He said, and send off to do this again. You see, you can see obviously what's going to happen.
To crash the airplane again.
However, they said they didn't want to risk another crew member. So apparently when the aircraft crashed, there was a navigator in the bomb aiming bay of this Canberra. And what they did was they got like a mannequin dummy, and they put some lead weights and stuff to put it in this position, so it would have exactly the same CFG and a weight as the aircraft that had crashed. But the ground crew, being ground crew, decided to have some fun, so they actually dressed this mannequin dummy up in a bone dome and a flying suit and boots and everything, and flying gloves, the whole deal, okay? And put it in the bomb bay. So again, cut to the chase. Of course, he's flying the same profile, and of course the aircraft goes into a spin and crashes, and he ejects from it, okay, and he's fine. However, the aircraft goes into a spin, and it's quite a flat spin, so it lands, it sort of pancakes into the ground in almost one piece, but throws bits of it out of the actual fuselage. And one of the bits that got flown out was this mannequin got thrown clear of the airplane. And this, I forget when this was, but the aircraft crashes quite close to a road, and a car stops, and a woman jumps out of the car and runs towards this body in the field and tries to help it up, and it pulls his head off.
Oh no! Oh no! Oh dear! She's got dreams about that.
That's sort of dark humour, really.
I love it.
Not everyone would find that funny.
Well, that's been great, guys. Thanks very much for sharing your stories. Lovely to meet you all again. And,
40 years, mate.
Yeah, 40, yeah, absolutely. So cheers to you all.
Yeah,
cheers. Thanks, Nick.
Yeah. Can I go and get another bit now? We'll have to do the sound effects.
Yeah. We'll do it again sometime. All the best. My thanks again to DL, Barry and Nige for getting together and sharing a few of their memories.
Another great tale told by the very talented and creative old pilot.
The old pilots, I would say.
Old pilots, yeah.
Not so much me, but my very good storytelling friends. So thanks very much indeed, guys. That's been two great pain tales from that little very beery chat we had, and a very pleasant weekend. So thanks very much indeed for Nige for arranging us to get together, and for the guys coming along.
Do we get more parts after this one?
No, I'm afraid that's it. That was it.
Well, you'll have to get back together again, I guess. That's
exactly. They were much too interested in drinking than they were in talking to a microphone, I'm afraid.
And who can blame them,
really? Can you blame them? Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So, I don't know what this horrible noise is you're talking about.
Oh, horrible noise.
The feedback that you may or may not have heard. I may or may not have had anything to do with it.
Okay.
Did you guys hear it?
No,
yes.
No.
Oh yeah.
Okay.
It was awful. It was very loud and screechy in my ears all of a sudden.
I mean, it could, something like that noise could have been made by, like, if I had an external speaker on at the same time I turned my microphone on. It's possible.
Possible.
Just
Theoretical.
saying.
Hypothetical.
Yeah. Sorry about that.
I think you're forgiven.
Thank you. I'm just not with it today at all. I mean, not that I normally am, but anyway, in the audio only, nobody will hear a thing. Okay.
I didn't hear it anyway. It's outside my hearing range nowadays.
Wow. I heard it.
Really? If that's the case, I am concerned for you.
Yeah, don't worry.
Yeah, Liz is saying, I heard it loud. Yeah, I know. Everybody heard it. Okay.
Except Poor old Nick.
Scared something out of Neil's
Bejesus.
cat. Bejesus, yes. I almost said something not kosher for podcasting.
Okay. Well, are you Jewish? Who cares? Okay. Kosher,
Good
right?
point.
Yeah.
Okay.
If I've, yeah, exactly. Yeah. No, I got it. I just...
A kosher cat?
Yes.
A kosher pickle.
Fair enough.
Delicious.
All right. Well, it's too bad we won't hear another one of those great plane tales with these old pilots telling great stories, and very entertaining. All right. Well, looks like we can now move on to some more feedback, which is always a good thing. So let's resume with, let's see, I'm trying to recall exactly where we were. I think Muriel?
That is
Muriel
correct.
Says, hi crew. This is a short one. It's snowing in Brazil. Yes, can you believe it? Over 50 cities in the south and east of the country got lots of snow this week. As you guys already know, I'm from Brazil, currently living in Acme headquarters city. Anyway, going back to aviation, a lot of flights were canceled because of ice on the wings, and there's no anti-ice in the country. Well, we never needed it before. Crazy times.
Oh, yeah. Good point.
Global
Hope
warming.
you're all safe. Global warming, yes.
Yeah.
And this would be a good time for me to try to find this and see if I hit the right one this time. Maybe not.
You can always go around.
Yes, I'm going to hit that one.
We're going green.
Yes! Nailed it.
We're going green. We're gonna take care of the earth. We're going green.
Now, I always assumed that was to do with, energy and looking after the atmosphere. I've now realised it's to do with the squirting green anti-icing liquid onto an airplane.
Oh, exactly.
You're going green when you've been...
when you've been
green slimed.
Anti-iced.
Yes,
Anti-iced,
covered in green gloop.
Yeah. Mm.
Good point. Good observation, sir. And that just reminds me, and I know we've talked about it, or I've talked about it a couple of times before, but there was a few years back in Tampa, I think it was, a couple of different times, where the temperatures dropped below the freezing point and dew formed on the wings, and most of the stations around that latitude and south were also experiencing that. And of course, they don't have any de-icing fluids or capabilities there either, and so we just had to sit kind of pointed into the direction of where we thought the sun was going to come up. Usually it's in the east, and waited for the...
If you're on the round earth. If you're on the flat earth, I'm not entirely sure.
Yeah. Hey, southwest. Yeah. The other way. Turn around. Point that way. We and then we waited for the sun to come up and melt the frost off the wings. It was kind of ridiculous, actually.
I have done that.
Yeah.
Like, well, what are you gonna do? Wait.
Yep.
Cool.
Just wait.
Pull it out of the sun.
Eventually, Mother Nature will take care of it.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
A few bottles of vodka help too.
Yeah. Well,
hey, just pour those over the wings, or you could drink them. One of the
I was going to say, we're we're not allowed to do that.
Drink it. You'll get the courage just to go fly no matter what. It's fine.
Yeah, exactly.
It'll be your last flight anyway, so might as well enjoy it.
For reasons.
All right. Rob writes, good day, crew. A little behind, but a bit of history I didn't realize I was so closely connected to. I needed to share this one so you can see.
Rob has a little behind?
Well, I don't know. I've not met him, so I'm not really sure. He hasn't sent any
you
pictures.
were talking from personal knowledge, sorry.
No, I was not.
His
Thank
own
you
description.
very much. Yeah. It was not my description. It was his own. You're right, Steph. All right, here we go. And now you can actually see the words that he has written here and understand the context of everything. So let's see. One of my food buddies posting his family history. Oh, I hope Rob doesn't mind that I'm displaying his telephone number. Let's see. With his permission, I have included a screenshot of his post. And this is out of airwaysmag.com. The link's there. I guess he just added that for context. He said, go home legs, tailwinds, and IPAs in the right order this time. Rob Legal in Providence. And here is the thing that he was sharing with us with permission. A Facebook post from Eric Ripley. And Eric says, yesterday was the anniversary of the DC-10's first flight. My grandpa was the captain on that flight. My dad and my grandpa have both done pretty cool stuff in aviation. I hope I can add my own stories one day. And then here's a picture of an envelope with American Airlines first flight DC-10 luxury liner stamped on it, and some pretty cool U.S. airmail postage stamps. And
in the UK, we might call that a first aid cover. Is that what that is?
I don't know.
A first aid cover would be a special envelope stamped on the day of that flight, and then usually carried by the aircraft itself.
Oh,
I've never heard the term.
I have not either.
Right, obviously just a UK postal system thing.
Or a Canadian thing, too. Liz is saying that she's heard that as well. Okay. Let's see, it's postmarked Los Angeles, August 5th, 1971. Anyway. And then, of course, the link to an article regarding American Airlines putting their places the DC-10 into service, and some nice photos of the old bird. And so...
Well, it does say 1971 there.
Mm-hmm.
Mm,
so...
Might
what am I missing?
Yeah. No, it's just the same date as the postmark.
Oh.
Same year as the postmark, not the same date. But
Gotcha. Anyway, so here's some pretty nice pictures of that DC-10. And let's see. Ken Hayes says, first day cover is used here in the U.S. For smart people, maybe. Thank you, Ken. Again, our live audience making us hosts feel rather stupid. You know, I didn't really need to read that, Liz. Thank you very much. Next time I'm going to read it before I start saying it out loud. Okay. Anyway, if you're interested in seeing the story from Airways Mag regarding the DC-10 being put into service by American Airlines so many years ago, check it out in the show notes and all that. And thank you, Rob Legal, for sharing that with us. All right. Another Rob. This
same
one.
Rob.
Oh, it's the same one. He writes in, good day, Jeff. Recently in someone's feedback, they mentioned things to check out in Houston. Formerly living in Houston on our last orders, I'm very familiar with Lone Star Flight Museum and agree entirely. It's a fantastic place. I highly suggest you take the time out of any layover and go check it out. It would be an excellent location for a meetup, and I'm sure the Flight Museum would love to be a part of a special edition APG episode 2. Wow, yeah, it wouldn't be any extra work at all. Thanks, Rob, for the suggestion. As written by another, that cuts into my just sitting in my room drinking that I normally do on layovers. So I don't know if I can squeeze that.
Your schedule's full already.
Yeah, it's
really.
pretty
It's,
tight.
you'll just have to like pencil it in. I don't know, somewhere.
but you might get bought free beer if you go to the museum.
Oh, that's true. Okay, well, I might have to reconsider. As written by another, everything there is airworthy, set up, ready to go. Flown nearly every weekend with, every...
I love that you could have read that out. That's from Liz.
Liz says his schedule and his liver are full.
How did I miss that? For some reason, my texts are coming through very slow.
I'm getting those little notifications on the screen, the same screen that I'm reading these stories.
They're delayed on my screen. It comes through quicker on my phone, but I turned off the notifications.
I really try hard not to read them because sometimes when I do, that happens. I just start chuckling and have to stop reading
at a very inappropriate time in a story.
Yeah. Okay, as written by another, everything there is airworthy, set up, ready to go, flown nearly every weekend with seats available to buy for a ride-along. Then, as mentioned in the others' feedback, when tucked away for the night, all the oil drip pans come out. It's genuinely unique to walk into. Note, they have an open invitation to all aviators to fly into Ellington EFD. EFD? What's EFD mean? And taxi straight up to the museum's apron to attend. They also have spare display spots available for the traveling aircraft of other museums, so there's always a new flavor there. Here's a little taste of some of the great planes they have displayed. This is one of 9 remaining ME-262s in existence, but more amazingly, this is one of the 3 that is airworthy and flying often. I guess I should share this so you can see what the heck I'm talking about.
And EFD is just
the identifier.
Yeah.
Is what?
The identifier. We're both trying to tell you at the same time.
Sorry.
The identifier. Oh, EFD.
Yeah.
Gotcha. All right. I was thinking like Ellington Air Force Base. I was expecting to see AFB, not EFD. And I'm thinking, never seen that. Okay. So let me share these pictures with you. All right. Share screen and window. And here we go. Share. And let me scroll down. There we go. Oh, look at that.
Watch out. That
is nice.
You've got something in there you probably don't want on the screen.
Oh, shoot. Well, just stop looking. So, hey, Rob, if you get a lot of phone calls from people, sorry. Maybe he wants people to call. That's what I'm thinking.
Yeah.
So there we go. He's up in Providence. If you're in the area, give him a call. And do a meetup. So anyway, there's that Messerschmitt ME-262, one of 9 remaining in existence. Yeah, look at that.
And that's a flying version. Isn't that fantastic?
Yeah. Very cool. Liz says, let's sign Rob up for a dating site. I'm not sure his wife will appreciate that.
I'm sure he really would, yeah.
Oh, my goodness. Okay.
After all, there's not much to do in Providence.
No,
there isn't?
Yeah, there is.
Drink
good beer and eat great pizza.
Going out on a date.
Go to Boston or somewhere else that's not.
Oh,
I'm just kidding.
There's some really good restaurants in Providence and other great.
Well, I'm going to check them out next month. So.
Okay, you do that. And we do apologize to all of you in
Such a
Providence.
neat-looking airplane, isn't it?
That's Dr. Steph. I'm offended.
I'm offended by Dr. Steph
at airlinepilotguy.com. All right, let's see. Stephen writes in, and this is Stephen Hoover. He says, hello, Jeff, and whoever today's crew is. A very generic greeting. Let's see. This incident happened at the local airport last week, and I found it kind of interesting. It appears like the Swiss cheese struck again. They had a slight tailwind, and a rainstorm had just passed through the area, plus a 178 knot ground speed at the threshold. Ooh. I'm not a citation expert by any means, but my hunch tells me that's pretty fast. I think he's right.
Spicy.
So he gives us a link to the aviationsafety.net incident report, and he also found some live ATC audio, but he has no way of cutting it down. Oh, yeah, you do. Just download Audacity and do it. It's easy. Anyway, I did it for you, though. Thank you for giving me the source files, Stephen, and I'm going to play that audio right now. Here we go. Here we go. It's not playing. I'm not going to play that audio right now. I don't know why it's not playing. All right, see if I can play it through the Finder.
Has it ever occurred to anyone that if the Swiss didn't make cheese, there'd be no accidents?
I'm sure we would blame it on some other nationalities' food.
With holes in it.
With holes in it.
You think?
I'm not so sure.
What else is out there? Let's see. Surely there's something available to be used as a scheme.
We'll have to think of something.
Of
the macaroni effect.
Liz. Yeah, Liz likes macaroni.
Where the holes line up nice and easily.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Macaroni. What a load of rubbish.
I'm going to see if this works here. I'm going to play this in the Finder.
Ready, 46 Charlie Foxtrot,
hour 75.
Oh, no, the volume's way too low. Yeah, I'll fix it in post. Oh, wait. Here's the one I think is going to work.
Ready, 46 Charlie Fox.
Nope.
That's okay, I can hear it.
Yeah, was it? Oh, you can? Is it Is it good volume?
Mm-hmm.
Reasonable.
Oh.
It was
well, then
listenable.
Why is it that I can't hear it very well? Maybe it's because I don't have it set up to hear. Okay. All right, well, I'm going to bump up the volume a little bit more. Let me know if it's too loud.
Bump up the volume, bump up the volume.
The volume. All right, here we go.
Ready, 46 Charlie Fox, tower 75.7 for 5,000.
Hey, 46 Charlie Fox, running approach, descend, maintain 3,000. Verify it is Romeo.
We have Romeo going down to 3,000, requesting runway 13 for 46 Charlie Fox. Sorry about that.
Hey, 6 Charlie Fox, expect runway 13, airport's 12 o'clock, 26 miles, advise and safe.
Roger, we'll go when you get it in sync. We have a wind check. I know it's been kind of moving around down there for you guys.
6 Charlie Fox, wind 180 at 5. It's usually been around 5 to 7 knots from the southwest.
Perfect, thank you so much. Yep, we'll keep 13 on request for 46 Charlie Fox. Thank you. And Predator 46 Charlie Fox, can we just get the left turn direct pagoda and line us up 13?
Hey, 6 Charlie Fox, approved as requested, airport's 12 o'clock, 11 miles.
Airport's in sight for 46 Charlie Fox. I just got it out of the haze.
Hey, 6 Charlie Fox, cleared visual approach runway 13, contact tower 119.9er.
Go to the visual 13 and 99, 6 Charlie Fox. Ready, tower 46 Charlie Fox, drop visual 13.
Citation 46 Charlie Fox, running tower, wind calm, runway 13, clear to land.
13, clear to land, thank you so much, 6 Charlie Fox.
Okay, I think that's it. Cessna 560
Citation
XL.
6 Charlie Fox, running tower.
The aircraft at 3-1.
Say again?
Airport 1, like to respond to the aircraft at 3-1.
Airport 1 proceeds request to cross runway 36.
Roger.
Okay.
Citation 6 Charlie Fox, running tower.
Okay, I think that's it. Sorry.
Are you sure? Final answer?
I can barely. So look, I can barely hear that audio.
Oh, really?
So,
It sounded fine.
It's because of something the way I have everything set up here. I'm not used to playing a clip that way, and so for some reason it's like extremely low volume, and I do apologize for basically ruining the climax of that. Is that the Citation landed and ended up going off going into the EMAS, the Engineered Materials Arresting System, I believe, is what that stands for. Let's see. The aircraft sustained minor damage subsequent to the runway excursion during landing at the Carl A. Spotts Field, Reading, Pennsylvania. There were no reported injuries to the 9 occupants aboard the airplane, which came to a stop. Oh, we just talked about that. Ground speed at the approach threshold was 178 knots. Now, looking at the METAR, METAR there, 200 degrees at 5 knots. That's really not much wind at all, and it wasn't really a tailwind. It's, if anything, a slight headwind, maybe 1 or 2 knots. Because 130 and 200 degrees, that's, if I'm doing my math right, that's about 70 degrees.
70 degrees.
Yeah.
Offsetting.
So here's the airport diagram, and runway 13, 6,350 feet long by 150 feet wide. And then, of course, the only place on the airport with EMAS, lucky for them, is at the end of runway 13.
We're going to need runway 13. Don't ask why. We're just going to...
Yes.
Yeah, that's interesting. He kept asking, that's what we want. And I was expecting
1.8.
Yeah,
which is shorter. But
well, mind you, the FBO is right at the end of 1.3, isn't it? So
it's also at the end of 1.8.
Yeah, it's even more convenient for 1.8.
It's true. Yeah, it is.
But wanted the longer runway. That's what I'm assuming is he just wanted the longer runway. And,
yeah, that makes sense.
And the winds were pretty light, like hardly significant at all. I'm not sure why they were carrying so much speed, though. That's what's the elevation here? Not that high, is it?
It's Reading, Pennsylvania. No, it's not.
Oh, so it couldn't be that high. Yeah. Yeah.
Weird.
I don't know. Not sure what happened there.
The elevation is 343 feet at the touchdown zone of 1.3, according to your diagram.
So,
there.
just
I guess
slightly.
all that macaroni just lined up.
It did.
Or maybe it was penne.
We're starting a new thing, huh? Okay. Yeah, that's the Swiss cheese. That's so old school.
Yeah,
you know,
exactly. Yeah.
Get with it. Anyway, well, thank you for sending that in, Stephen. We do appreciate that. And if you want to read more, well, I pretty much read everything on this report. The nice thing was that the EMAS did what it was supposed to, and nobody was injured or died in it, so that's good. I think it was just minor damage to the airplane, so that's a good thing. I don't know what else to say about that.
Were these professional pilots, or did they own the airplane?
Don't know.
No.
Does it say in the little information box?
Don't think so. It
says owner-operator PV Transport. I don't know.
Owner-operator. Well, I guess he won't fire himself then.
Guess not. All right. How much time do we have left, Liz? Dun, 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 dun. Liz, hello. Oh, there you are. Just over 20 minutes. Thank you. Wait a minute. There's no delay, Liz. You're watching this live. You have no excuse. Yeah, I do miss the control room audio. Okay. Let's see. She wants to make sure that we cover number 15. So I'm going to jump to that right now. No, there's no reason to lash out at me, Liz.
I sense some... this has not been her favorite way to communicate during the show.
No, it's not. Okay. Let's jump to 15, crew. This is from Jeffrey. And he says, imagine how much fun this thing would be to take to Oshkosh, or any other fly-in for that matter. And so we do have some video to play for you, and I think this is pretty darn cool. That's not it. Okay. Let me do that like this then instead.
You won't be able to hear it, though.
No, I will. This is another different way.
Okay.
Here we go. Open. RVTravel.com presents It's True, Winnebago's Amazing Flying Motorhomes. It's true.
Here is one of the most unusual recreation vehicles you will have ever seen. Starting in 1976, Winnebago Industries, in cooperation with Orlando Helicopter Airways, built the Winnebago or Itasca Helo in 2 floor plans. The first based on the Sikorsky S-55 and the larger one on the S-58, which you may recall from the 80s TV series Riptide. These Sikorsky helicopters saw action in Korea and Vietnam, as well as service right here at home for the Coast Guard and the reserves. During the 1970s, a plan was hatched to offer these helicopters modified as Winnebagos, which made them capable of RVing anywhere the bird could land. These were well equipped and should have been for the $300,000 price tag in 1970s money. These helihomes had a full galley with stove and refrigerator, a wet bar, hot and cold running water, a full bath with a hot shower and toilet, 6,000 BTU air conditioner, 40,000 BTU furnace, a music system and color TV, a 3.5 kilowatt generator, an awning, 2 water tanks, 2 holding tanks, and sleeping for up to 6. The purchaser had a few options, including interior and exterior colors, amphibious floats for water landings, a canvas screened enclosure, which we call a screen room today, to attach to the awning, and they could upgrade the power plant from a gas engine to a Pratt & Whitney 600 shaft horsepower jet turbine engine. The cockpit was accessible from the living compartment, making it FMCA membership eligible, and came complete with all the communications and avionics you could need. The larger S-58 had a 56-foot rotor diameter, which is about the same as a Class A motorhome's turning radius is today. Unloaded, it weighed in at 9,200 pounds with a 3,300 pound cargo carrying capacity. It had a maximum altitude of 8,000 feet and had a flight range of 3.5 hours at 100 to 110 miles per hour on 220 gallons of gas. In its day, the Winnebago Itasca Helium was a big deal and garnered quite a bit of attention. In September 1977, Hearst Publishing's Popular Mechanics dedicated its front cover to the flying camper that could let you go where you've never been before. The spread contains some of the few remaining pictures of the Gila homes we have today, in addition to a couple from Winnebago archives and 2 from aviation historians Glenn Chatfield and Peter Nicholson. There were a total of 8 Gila homes built, and all are gone, but the base helicopters, or airframes as they're called, which were featured in this piece, are still flying under different configurations.
There you go, Winnebago's Heli-home. Heli-home? Very cool. I have to figure out a way to share this. This is from Spaceballs?
Yes, this is from Spaceballs. We started playing this and I wait a minute, Spaceballs already did this.
It's a more modern version. It's more Winnebago-ish looking with wings and jets.
Yeah, it's a Winnebago spacecraft, obviously.
Yeah, well, I just have to tell you right now that I'm going to have to pause everything and cancel my order.
Is it time to start again?
Yeah, I'm going to cancel my order for my RV.
You need a Heli Winnebago. What was it called? Winnebago.
Yeah, why is it that I can't get rid of this thing? Oops, no, that's not it. There we go. Well, it worked. Yeah, pretty cool, I think.
Yes, it's a helicopter.
Well, that's the downside.
Dangerous. I'd rather fly a balloon than one of those.
Oh no!
Or the Spaceballs version.
Yeah, definitely.
Did you notice that we had somebody comment about your disdain for balloons in our last YouTube video?
Yeah.
And I said, don't take Nick too seriously. He's just trying to
personally.
He's yanking people's chains. That's all.
Yeah. By the way, as an alternative to Swiss cheese, we could have donuts, bagels, simit, onion rings, Funyuns.
What was that like?
Oh, Funyuns. What? Definitely Funyuns.
Funyuns.
Ooh, the Funyun.
The Funyuns lineup. Or calamari. That was another one.
Oh, lovely.
Calamari.
See what fun these people have in our chat rooms. That's great.
Did that come from the chat room? Or were you just looking up
No,
foods
I did that on my own research.
I just assumed.
That was
wow.
Nick's original research there on foods
Excellent.
that contain holes.
Very good.
I was trying to think of something like of some sort of ethnic or national food, so we could blame it on a specific country still, like the Swiss.
Well, I see, like Swiss.
Funyuns are probably American.
They're definitely American.
There you go. Funyuns it is then.
Oh.
Okay. So that's what from now on, we're not going to talk about the Swiss cheese effect. We're going to call the Funyun effect.
Very good. The Funyun effect.
The Funyun.
I think we have a show title.
Funyun effect.
If only I knew what a Funyun was.
A quick Google search will.
You'll see.
Suffice. Yeah. This is a complete aside and nothing to do with aviation, but in high school, actually, you could get Funyuns in our vending machine. And there was a kid who ate a bag of Funyuns every day during the school year. And he saved the wrappers and he filled his locker with Funyun wrappers. At the end of the year, his locker was completely chock full of Funyun wrappers. I have no idea why he did that. It was
and we have no idea why you shared it.
I just odd recollection of, Funyun facts.
It's what Steph does.
Yeah.
Funyun facts.
Funyun facts.
Funyun, fun.
Yep.
Right? Funyun, F-U-N-Y-U-N, right? Or Y-O-N.
I'm not sure.
I don't know.
Yeah.
Staff, get on that. I shouldn't be yelling. I'm in a hotel.
She's already sent you a picture. If you look at your messages, your massages.
Oh, well, okay, but so it's not very easy for me to.
Funyuns.
Okay. I see. Okay, let me see. Oh, is that not necessarily anything I need to share, but I'm going to anyway. Yes, Nick?
Yes, what?
Oh, I thought you were putting your hand up to say something.
Hand up what?
Oh, I don't know. There we go. Funyuns. Onion-flavored rings. There we go. Kind of boring, actually, but cute. Okay. Stop screen sharing. Here we go. And we only have a few minutes left.
I like Texas Charlie's feedback, but whatever Liz recommends.
Wow, Liz is really getting quite acerbic.
There's a lot. It's no longer passive aggressive. It's just aggressive.
It's just aggressive now. Wow. You'd think that after a couple of weeks up in the nice, tranquil, peaceful cabin that she'd be so nice, but you'd be wrong.
Let's do Texas Charlie and call it a show, I think.
Okay.
Is the consensus.
Oh, well, okay. So I need to share this for sure then, I guess, because there's a picture that I really don't.
I don't think we can read it.
You guys are going to have to explain it to me. I don't really understand it.
I will. Yeah.
Okay.
Well, I don't know that I understand it. I will explain it in words that are not what it's listed.
Okay, but yeah, I just don't really I don't really understand the context. But anyway, okay, here we go. Texas Charlie, dear captains and doctor, I've been flying commercial since the early 60s, my first flight being in a Connie, and my favorite airframe being the DC-3. The sound of a Wasp radial engine is music to my ears, and the smell of jet exhaust is intoxicating. I'm never so at home as I am when I'm skimming cloud tops, but it's getting harder and harder for the economy class passengers among us to keep loving the current airline experience. The last flight that I
time
took
to
was...
upgrade to first class and business class. Just
there you go.
Do whatever you gotta do. Sell all your possessions.
Give Steph a call and she'll hook you up. The last flight that I took was on an American Airlines Canadair, a CRJ of some sort, I guess. The seat in which I sat sloped downward so badly that I had to keep my seatbelt fastened in order to not slide onto the floor. Wow.
Whee!
And I purposely booked a seat on the emergency exit row in order to not sit with my knees firmly pressed into the seat in front of me. Then there's my fellow passengers adding to the experience. The attached photo isn't mine, but it's emblematic of my recent flights. I know it's a first world problem, but darn. And here's the picture. There's a baseball cap, I'm assuming. He's wearing it backwards?
Yes, he's wearing it backwards. I've seen some equally offensive things recently, Texas Charlie, and I'm trying to remember what the one that I saw the other day in the airport was when I was on my way to Chicago. But it was so bad, I think I just blocked it from my memory.
Okay, so Steph, you're going to be very creative in describing to the folks that aren't looking at this picture. What is it that he has on
this is
emblazoned on his cap?
Obviously a fan of Sir Mix-a-Lot's hit from the 90s, Baby Got Back, except he takes it much farther than that.
Oh, see, that's why I didn't understand this at all, because I have no idea
no, it has
all
nothing
the
to do
words
with
he just said. Go ahead. It's not helping at all. Okay, go ahead.
He's soliciting for people in general, I suppose. I would assume perhaps of the other gender from his, but maybe not.
Well, I don't know. Doesn't look gender specific to me.
It's not gender specific to reveal an area of their anatomy that you would not normally see. And everyone has one.
Not really sure why we'd want to be looking at that, but...
I don't know, but that's what he is requesting.
Get it?
But
yeah. Is that kind of like in New Orleans, a Mardi Gras, show me your passports?
I don't think so. I don't think this is actually a thing.
I hope it's not, because otherwise I'm never going to America again.
We'll make you feel right at home, Nick.
Yeah, this is something that you don't see very often. Thank goodness. All right. Thank you, Texas Charlie. We really appreciated that. Sorry about your wonderful or not so wonderful experience on that.
And Liz wants to know if you're the butt of that joke, Jeff.
Apparently I am. I'm the butt of everybody's joke. Anyway, that's going to do it for today's show. I know we're all sad about that. And we're wrapping it up here. And so we're going to point you over toward our website, Airline Pilot Guy. See, I'm pointing right now. AirlinePilotGuy.com.
It's over there.
Oh, wait.
Okay.
There we go. Pointing right there to the airlinepilotguy.com website. and you'll find all kinds of interesting information about the crew and the community and the calendar and this guy right here, his plain tales, and merchandise where you can get really cool t-shirts and such, and other fun things. And what else? I think I covered most everything. So if you want to send us feedback, as Liz is trying to get us to do, Nick's pointing at it right now, feedback@airlinepilotguy.com. And if you want to send us audio feedback, you can use an audio recorder on your device and what do you call that?
Record.
Yeah, but no, you add it. I can't think of the word. It starts with an
speak.
A. You add it to your email.
Attach?
Yeah, attach. That's it.
I'm so glad we're wrapping this show up.
I haven't had anything to drink. This is crazy. Okay,
that's probably why.
Maybe that's why.
The error of your ways.
You're right. Anyway, and also on the website, you can. There's a link over to SpeakPipe. It's another way you can send us audio feedback. I'm going to stop talking and let Steph tell you all about the social medias.
Hey, head on over to the social medias, as Jeff likes to call it. I think the cool kids still call it the social medias.
You know it.
We're on Twitter. Our handle is @APG Crew. You can find our individual Twitter information pinned to the top of that page. And we're also on Facebook, facebook.com/airlinepilotguy. And Instagram, APG Crew on the IG. And we would love to see you there. If you'd like to have an even more involved social media-like experience, consider joining our Slack team. And I'm wondering if Hillel has been cleansing himself for this occasion. Oh, look at that.
I'm turning up the volume of the hidden microphone in the bathroom.
Is he having an enema or what?
Okay,
yes.
But I'm dripping wet.
Okay. I didn't even ask you what I wanted you to do, but okay. All right. Come on over here. Sit down. And don't get water over everything, and tell us about Slack.
APG listeners, please join us on our Slack team. Slack is a communication, coordination, and sharing platform that works on your mobile, laptop, or browser. On Slack, we share news and ideas. We suggest episode and plain tales topics. We plan events and meetups. To get into the Slack team, please email me at slack@airlinepilotguy.com. That's SLACK, Sierra Lima Alpha Charlie Kilo at airlinepilotguy.com, or send me a tweet with your preferred email address to @Hillel, and I'll send you an invitation. That's Hillel, spelled Hotel India 11 Echo 1, and see you in Slack.
Thanks a lot, Hillel. All right. It's always nice for him to be wherever I am to tell us all about Slack, you know?
So convenient.
Oops.
Can you get me a roll of toilet paper?
Yeah, I'm right on it. All right.
Call housekeeping.
With that, I think it would be... Oh, wait. No. We get to do this week because she's actually here in the control room. Thank you, Liz, our producer, director, assistant in Toronto, Ontario, Canada, for all of your hard work and help. Liz, we missed you. We really did. So glad that you're back.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
Barely held things together over the past 2 weeks. Barely.
Yes, but now you're here, and we'll get everything back on track. And now we'll say, with that, we're going to bid you adieu and say, wishing you clear skies, unlimited visibility, and tailwinds. Talons, Douglas.
Cheers, y'all.
Bye, everybody. Suckers.
I'm offended by Captain Nick at airlinepilotguy.com.
Ew, Jeff, you said you didn't use the washcloths.
There are some of these.
He's found a dirty washcloth. Oh, Jeff.
Is that like the grossest thing you found on a walk around, or something you were talking about before I joined the show earlier? I heard what Nick found. Ew.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow. You know what those engineers are like.
Apparently not. Okay.
So I think we've got a great suggestion. The Funyun effect.
Yes. I like it.
Mm-hmm.
Funyon, am I right?
YUN.
Y-U-N. Okay.
F-U-N-Y-U-N. Yeah, I was thinking it was going to be O-N, but it's F. Yeah. Let me put that bag up.
That's one of those things that, unless
you
you eat a lot of Funyuns, you probably have no idea how to actually spell Funyun.
And you really don't care.
You are aware of its existence as a thing, but never have delved that far into.
There we go. There's the
Funyun.
Funyuns.
Yeah. Cool. Has anyone got any other suggestions, just out of interest? No, I quite like it, though. The Funyun effect. Great name. Okay. Well, that's it.
And I really do think we need to, instead of saying Swiss cheese, we'll say the Funyun effect. And people are going to listen to our show for the first time and go,
oh, what?
What?
But we'll make it a thing, and then people will start referring to it as the Funyun
wouldn't that
effect.
be fun?
It's going to happen. I guarantee you, if we continue to do it. It comes up often enough.
Cool. That would be so cool. That'd be great.
It's like, what's his face standing in front of I don't know, a group of people and talking about big ass fans and
oh yeah, not even thinking about it.
Not even thinking about it. Just
yeah, we're sorry we have that effect. We really do apologize. But hey, you know what you were getting into by listening to the show.
Yeah.
So we can't take full blame.
Yeah.
It's what's the quote from Airplane? It's their fault. They bought the tickets. They knew what they were getting into. I say, let them crash.
Oh man.
Sorry.
Yes.
There's a quote from that movie for everything.
I have no idea what I'm gonna produce other than a bunch of Funyuns. So
I think you need to do some research for this one. Should we send you some Funyuns across the pond?
Some actual Funyuns.
Actual Funyuns.
Yeah, we can do that.
Should they cost like 75 cents a bag or something? Like
yeah, but it'll cost you like
$75
shipping.
Worth it.
Totally. And I'll have to pay tax on them.
You only have to pay like probably 30 pounds or so.
Yeah, exactly right. So very kind of you.
Maybe Amazon will ship it to you.
Let me use my imagination.
Fair enough.
Okay, and we can always come up with something else too. If that just turns out to be not working, then we can figure something else out. All right, folks, we're going to go ahead and shut her down.
No, it'll work. I've already got some ideas.
Okay, good. Thanks everyone for being with us.
Okay,
and,
I had to rejoin the stream just for this.
Okay.
You can get Funyuns on Amazon UK.
Oh my
I was
God,
going to say, I was actually going to look and send it.
Yep.
You're going to get some tomorrow.
Got some Funyuns coming your way, sir.
Oh, God. Well, actually, it'll be great because then I can actually model a picture. I can actually take my own picture.
And you know what?
Funyuns.
Those things are really good with beer.
Oh, great. Well, I've got
they are delicious
too.
with beer. They're best consumed with beer.
Seriously.
Cool.
Yeah.
All right.
Just
Well,
look it up
I'll
on
wait
Amazon.
for the Funyuns to arrive then.
Yeah, I'm just going to
All right.
Don't forget, they'll have to be quick because I have to get it done in 48 hours.
Well, I'm not going to be finished in 48 hours, but I know you have a life that you have to engage in. So, anywho, well, thanks everybody for hanging out with us. We do appreciate it. And by the way, thank you to all of you who are still with us live and watching this after the fact, who have sent me personal messages regarding the divorce situation for me. So I really do appreciate that. And as I mentioned before, y'all are my family, and we love you. I love you, and that's all there is to say about that. And now I'm going to end the broadcast, and we're going to see you next week sometime. Not sure when, but we're going to talk about it right now after we hit this button right here.
Absolutely. Show me that butthole.